Good evening. This is the Hawaiʻi Neighborhood Board meeting for August 25. I want to thank you all for coming. My name is Roberta Mayer. I am the chair of the meeting, and I'm going to have those members who are right now in attendance introduce themselves, starting at my far right. Paula?
Paula Bender for Subdistrict 9, which is Lunalilo Home Road, Coco Kai Terrace.
Good evening, Elijah Lee, Subdistrict 5.
I'm Greg Knudsen, at large.
This is Anson Wu. He is our neighborhood assistant, and he helps us with the minutes, with parliamentary procedure, and with the tech end. Go ahead, Johanna.
Subdistrict 3, Johanna Ward, Upper Hahaiʻoni Valley.
Paige Alton, Subdistrict 11, Portlock Road and Mauna Lua Triangle, Kokokai.
Robbie Allen, Subdistrict 2, Kuapa Island, Spinnaker Isle.
All right. We are a 15-member board. Currently, we have 7 members present, so we do not have a quorum, but I do expect some other board members to shortly join us. We're going to go ahead with our reports so that we can begin and end on time. And we're going to start then with the Honolulu Fire Department. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for the applause. All right, good evening, gang. I am Firefighter 3, Engineer Jake Esteban, Hawaii Kai Fire Station, Captain Mark Esteban, 34-2 Hawaii Kai Fire Station. Okay, so we're gonna start off with our statistics. This is for July 2026. We had 10 activated alarms, no fires. Emergencies, we had 67 medical emergencies. We had 1 motor vehicle collision. We had 4 mountain rescues, which were all at Cocoa Head District Park at the Cocoa Head Trail. We had 2 ocean rescues. One was at Irma's and one was at China Walls. And that would be it for our statistics. We'll go to the next, fire safety tips and announcements. Fire safety tip, emergency notifications and resources. This is kind of a long one, bear with me. Understanding how you'll be alerted during urgent emergencies and knowing where to find accurate official information is a key part of being prepared. Learn more at honolulu.gov-dem-stay informed. We have a few different type of alert methods. One is our opt-in alerts. These notify individuals who have signed up to receive alerts via text, email, or app push notifications based on user preferences. Alerts are not sent based on location. The number one we have is systems include HNL Alert and official government social media. Number 2, we sign up at hnlalert.gov to receive notifications. And number 3, alerts may be shared by official city, state, and trusted partner accounts. The second one we have are public alert and warning systems. These systems deliver urgent life-saving information during immediate threats to public safety. In Hawaii, we have 3 different types. We have the emergency alert system, or we call it EAS. Number 2, we have wireless emergency alerts, WEA. And our last one, we have outdoor warning sirens, depending on the emergency. 1 or more of these systems may be activated. And that's it for us. If you guys have any questions, please email hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. Got a question?
Paige?
Okay.
Hi, guys. Thanks. Excuse me. Thanks for your report. Thanks for everything that you did for us during the last couple of weeks with the storms and stuff. I saw you guys out and about, and I just wanted to say thank you. Of these alerts that you have here, other than, well, there's the outdoor warning warning sirens. Those are obviously not like apps on your phone or something like that. Is everything else, are those via apps on your phone or?
So I want to say the warning sirens, that's the ones that goes off usually on the first of the month that we test. Those would be those ones. Wireless emergency alerts, I think that's the ones we get, and it makes that super loud noise on our phones. I think that's the wireless emergency. And the emergency alert system, I believe this is either going to be via television or radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of those, if any, did you send out during Lala?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I don't have the answer for you on that one. I bet you there was a lot.
Okay.
I would say that would be a good question to email that NHB, the HFD NHB.
Okay. Well, even if it was just one, the reason I'm asking is because I was out of power for almost 48 hours.
Mhm.
I had no internet, no electricity, and no Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
These alerts don't mean anything to me.
Mhm.
I couldn't get HECO outage maps. I couldn't make a phone call. I couldn't get the HNL, Hawaii News Now. I couldn't get anything.
Mhm.
So my question is when and I'm in that situation, the most I can do is run down the street screaming, but nobody on my road had cellular service,
Mhm.
Wi-Fi, or electricity. So none of this emergency stuff would mean anything to somebody like me.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting in the dark listening to a radio,
Mhm.
and the radios, I was a little disappointed because I was listening to KSSK, and I was a little disappointed that they were playing a lot of music when in my head they should have been doing minute by minute updates on what was going on, whether they had to just talk rubbish or whatever. But that was my only form of communication. And I guess my question is when we don't have access to anything, what do we do? 'Cause
Yeah.
there was no way to get access.
Yeah, I would say for that, to me, I know we're we're so in our generation now, right? We have our cell phones and we have Wi-Fi and internet. Back in the day, or not back in the day, but they have the old like radio, like you said, you have your radio. I don't know the
No, I'm only kidding.
no, I totally get it. No,
Sometimes old school works.
Yes. Yep.
So
and I think that is almost just going to be one-way communication. You're going to have to listen to it. I don't know, KSSK, maybe they didn't give enough alerts, and
I
I don't.
tried, but I couldn't get a lot of stations. But
Yeah.
again, we had nothing
Yeah.
that was going on. And when you're in the dark, literally, and then you're really in the dark,
Yeah.
it expounds the fear of
I totally
what's going
understand.
on. And I
Yeah.
caregive for a 95-year-old who's bedbound. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of scenarios that come into play in that. And I was just curious
Yeah.
what we're supposed to do. I'm going to ask the reps. I'm going to ask the city. I want to know. I wasn't the only one.
Mhm.
My neighbors have a newborn. Like, you're sitting there like, nothing.
Absolutely.
It's very, very scary.
No, I totally understand, especially
So-
during that storm. That storm did a lot of damage, and being in that unknown is definitely.
Well, and
not-
everybody, that's the thing. Everybody is relying. They're like, well, just look up the app or just download blah, blah, blah. It's like, this was like out the window. So
I do like that this thing, the number one thing on here is the emergency alert system. And I think that's, again, television or radio. So if you can get a battery operated radio or something like that, that doesn't need like grounded power,
yeah.
that's going to be the best. Again, that's one way
that was a
communication.
savior. It was a savior in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, but I'm just saying that when the rest of the world is relying on the app on your phone
Yeah.
and just download the
100%.
emergency weather app, it's like, does me no good,
Mhm.
in an emergency.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if maybe you had some insight as to what to do,
Yeah.
No,
I totally understand. I get it. Yeah, when those things come in, it's definitely scary and it's definitely a tough time. And I
It's
think all
just-
of us.
it's just something to think about, I think, for all entities and everybody who's within any kind of power in this state, is to think about that when you tell people, just download the app or just read the app or just look at this, you're talking to a lot of kapuna.
Mhm.
We have a lot of people in this state who do not rely on apps for their livelihood.
Mhm.
And it could be very dangerous,
Absolutely.
So that's just something for everybody to think about when you're telling people, just download the app.
Yeah, and I do agree with you, and I think that is why if you look on here, that's why there's multiple options that we
Yeah.
have.
And I
Wireless-
appreciate that.
yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, other questions? Come on up.
My name is Tom Cooper. I have a point of information to offer to Paige and to you, and a question over to you about that.
Microphone.
The NOAA radio is available to everyone. It not only has all AM and FM that's available, but 5 different emergency stations that are broadcasting all the time. It's not for specialists. We use it during the storm. You can also plug in and charge your cell phone. You can also use it as a flashlight. It has 3 different ways it can be powered. It will not lose power. You have backup power in it, and it's all for $45. Now, whether you get it from Amazon or someone else, any individual can get it. Every family should have one. My question to you is, in light of her exposing a certain vulnerability, could you put out word that this exists and how to get it as part of your list of preparations for emergencies? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, exactly. So I think kind of that's what we were going back towards, just talking about how we have different forms of communication. If you go on the Honolulu Fire Department website, I believe there's an emergency disaster. They have an emergency disaster checklist. And I actually believe that, I don't know if this is specific to the NOAA radio, but it does have one of those on their checklist as far as necessary equipment in times of emergency. So definitely maybe take a look at that. Again, there's a lot of different options out there, in time of emergency, it's tough no matter what. So, but yeah, thank you for that. Good information.
Greg?
Yeah, in the midst of one of the longer blackouts in Kalama Valley, we were fortunate that it only lasted like 22 hours. But just as that power came on, it was within minutes that it seems like a fire broke out in Kalama Valley. So I thank you folks you must have been part of it, because there were at least 5 trucks and coming from all over. And it was brought under control pretty quickly. I think the structure itself probably suffered, but no one was injured. So anyway, I thank you for that. But at the same time, I wonder if it was power related. Do you have any information on that?
I
It
think
seems
it's-
like it was like just as soon as the power came back on, something happened. So it blew something.
Yeah. So funny you say that. We're actually the 4 guys that were on the initial responding crew for that alarm. We were the engine 34 that responded to that alarm. And it did happen right after the power came on. Unfortunately, it is still under investigation. So we can't speak on the cause just yet until the investigators come out with their final investigation report. But we have noticed from this past fire and the last storm that a lot of times people leave stuff like maybe they don't realize that stuff is on their stove, and maybe they hit it and it turns on, but the power is on, or the power is off, and then the power comes back on, the stove turns on, and then it lights up. We had a girl had one of those butane stoves on her stove, and that thing actually blew up like in her face, and it was unfortunate for her. But that's just one thing to understand, and maybe we could talk about that with our community relations officers about getting something like that and understanding when the power goes out. Maybe you guys want to consider turning off your breakers.
Yeah, that would be good
And-
information to share.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to thank whoever's responsible. I think it was the state emergency response that posts that, check with your kapuna, check with your neighbors, see who might need help. That's part of the preparation, not just buy a couple of weeks worth of food, but, check in with your neighbors. Unlike Paige, we had a block party. We had photovoltaic and never lost power. So we invited everyone over and we had quite a bit going, which culminated with watching the fire.
Oh.
But anyway,
There was a lot of people there.
yeah, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, so thank you for that. I'm glad that the kapuna are part of the checklist in terms of, being prepared for any upcoming emergencies. So I know there's another way to go before everyone is online, but that gap can be filled just by being neighborly and helping each other.
Absolutely, for
Thank you.
sure. Everybody's ohana. Any other questions?
Any other questions for the fire department? Seeing none, I want to thank you very much for coming and joining us tonight and for your very informative report.
Thank you guys. You guys have a great evening. Aloha.
Bye. Next on our agenda is the Honolulu Police Department. And we have someone online.
Yeah, good evening. Sergeant Hung with the Honolulu Police Department, District 7. Our stats for last month, for this month actually, 3 motor vehicle thefts in comparison to 0 the previous month, 2 burglaries in comparison to 1 the previous month, 9 thefts in comparison to 8 the previous month, and 2 UMVs that stayed the same as last month, or theft from auto. Total calls for service, 5,475. Statistical information can be found on HPD at honolulupd.org. Our safety tip for this month is active shooter incidents. We want to remind the board or the neighborhood that the first 3 minutes counts. Once notified, law enforcement will respond to active shooter as quickly as possible. And your immediate actions should be focused on maximizing your personal safety until law enforcement is on scene. What you do matters. So void starts with your state of mind. Pay attention to your surroundings, have an exit plan, move away from the source of the threat as quickly as possible. And the more distance and barriers between you and the threat are better. Second is deny when getting away is difficult or maybe even impossible. Keep distance between you and your source. Create barriers to prevent or slow down the threat from getting to you. Turn off the lights. Remain out of sight and quiet by hiding behind large objects and silencing your phone. Third part, defend, because you have the right to protect yourself. If you cannot avoid or deny, be prepared to defend yourself. Be aggressive and committed to your actions. Do not fight. Do not fight fairly. And this is all about survival. When law enforcement does arrive, show your hands and follow all commands given by the law enforcement officers or agency on scene. And that's our safety tip for this month, and as well as our stats. Any questions?
Any questions for the Honolulu Police Department? Sam?
Thank you for the report, Sergeant. At last month's meeting, I had mentioned to Lieutenant Nakamura that there are handy vans, or formerly known as handy vans, that are being lived in at Vavamalu Beach, right by the entrance to Koloko. It doesn't look like they've moved. I was wondering if those people living out of them have been cited, or what the progress is to relocate them.
Well, those handy vans, they are being addressed. Officers have been making checks. I work on night watch. I cannot speak for day watch. If there is a violation, we will address it, whether citation or have them move along. But when you do see something, report it, call it in, and we'll make sure that we'll go out there if we have missed something.
Go ahead. Reese?
Reese Liggett. And I have a particular interest in Vavamalu Beach. That's behind the boulders, just beyond Sandy Beach. For 48 months on the third Sunday, well, I've had a team of 10 to 30 people out there working to take out the invasive plants and plant native plants. And I can report that last Wednesday, why 3 motorcycles got into the area we're working on and just ground it up, just turned donuts and disrupted our planning effort. So I got this report from people that are in the parking lot, some of them continuously, and they came back today and Rick ran them out. So Citizen did the job. I'd like the police to be aware that bikes, motorized bikes are getting in that park area. That's park land. It's part of Sandy Beach Park. And with any luck, we'll have it called a preserve pretty soon. But need the police's attention there, please.
Incident noted. But when you do see something, please call 911 so we may address it immediately.
Yes, Greg?
I just wanted to add, I'm sure there are homeless that are there and overnight parkers, but I haven't seen the handy vans for a couple of months now. I've gone past several times, so maybe they do only come back at night. Don't know. Well, anyway, so they are moving a little bit, and maybe that technically makes them legal too, because they are rotating. But I also wanted to ask of the police department if there's been any real noticeable, measurable change in the number of break-ins at the lookouts at the blowhole, at Alona blowhole, and at Lanai lookout.
The stats are the same this month as it last month. I'm not sure exactly where those UMVs occurred.
Well, I do ask specifically about those sites because they have the
once again, I don't have the
blinking
actual
light
statistics for that location. I'm gonna have to check with CPT.
So just to clarify with Greg's point, I was there on Saturday and I took photos of the handy vans that were there. So they've continuously been there and I drive by that area frequently. But I have pictures of it from Saturday. And I just have difficulty with this continued request from HPD because they're right off the highway. If I'm walking on the highway drinking a beer and a cop sees me, they're going to cite me because they see that I'm breaking the law. The same should exist with these homeless that are not allowed to stay there for extended periods of time. It'd be okay if they were clean and kept to themselves, but the fact that there's continuous defecation happening along the beach park, we have enough of it with the cats. We don't need people doing it as well. So we would just request that HPD can enforce the laws that are on books. Thank you.
All complaints that are addressed via 911 will be handled and taken care of. We should have a constituent meet up with us for the exact location of where these incidents occurred, especially because certain areas may or may not be city and county property. We've got maps from our CPT office as far as where the city and county boundaries are, and we do need a constituent to meet up with us as a witness and a complainant.
Sergeant, would it be helpful if Sam sent you a copy of that photo that he has? Would it go to 311 instead of 911?
He can send a copy of the photo, but we still need somebody to meet up with us and show us exactly where this violation is. I can't speak for the other watches or even the other half of the night watch because there are two platoons on each watch. But as far as my officers under my span of control, they do make checks, and if there is a violation, they do address it. They've been instructed to address all violations.
Okay, so we need to have someone there to point out the offenders. Is that correct?
Yeah, not only that, but the location of offense.
Okay, go ahead, Reese.
I volunteer to do that. How would I reach you to arrange an appointment?
No, it's called 911 and the officers will respond when the incident occurs.
I would be meeting you to show you the venue where the bad action goes on. I might not necessarily see a bad action. You said you need to meet a constituent out there to find out the location. I'll be glad to do that.
So the answer is twofold. Okay, one, for enforcement, officer needs to meet with a complainant. The complainant's gonna have to show the officer where the incident occurred, who the suspect is, point them out. If we can get an identification on a suspect, yes, we will take action. Number two, the second part of your question, to show the officer where this incident is occurring, that's something we can document, and you can call 911 non-emergency. You can make a missed pub report, and that's perfectly fine. But I mean, and that can be whenever it's convenient for you. I would say preferably during daytime hours, so that at least we can take some pictures and we can submit it as an official report.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Paige.
Thank you for your report. I just have a quick question. What is the law regarding electric bikes on the highways and the freeways? Are they not allowed? Are they required to be in the bike lane, or are they allowed to drive with the flow of traffic on the highways and the freeways?
Electric bicycles, electric motorcycles, there's a lot of definition regarding which is which. All of that, the HPD traffic division, they have I guess a packet where they describe what is required or what it constitutes a electric bicycle or electric motorcycle. Now, they don't belong on regular lanes of traffic. If it's an electric bicycle, it can be inside the bicycle lane. But there are requirements. I believe one of them is if they're under the age of 18, they must have a helmet on. And it really depends. So if you see a violation, once again, call 911 and report it. The officers are always constantly on the lookout for violations of that law. And I believe you can go to hpd.org, and it also has a link to what the violations are and possible fines.
Okay, so again, I'm talking specifically about electric bicycles, not motorcycles, mopeds, scooters, or anything else. I'm talking specifically about electric bicycles. Are they allowed to drive in the lanes on the highway and on the freeways? Or are they required to stay
Absolutely
in?
not.
Okay, that was
Absolutely not.
that was my question. Are
Because
they?
there's a difference. There's a difference because electric bicycles actually have pedals that can operate, and they must be treated just like a regular bicycle. Now there are electric motorcycles where they do have pedals, and they simulate a bicycle, but they're not.
Yeah, these are
And
not
those aren't allowed
electric.
on the road.
These are not motorcycles. These are electric bikes. I know exactly what an electric bike looks like. I'm specifically asking about electric
Yeah, I'm glad you
bicycles.
do.
Okay, so they are not allowed by law to drive in on the lanes of the highway. Are they required to what, stay in the bike lanes?
If it's an electric bicycle, they must stay in the bike lane.
Okay, and they are not allowed on the freeways, I'm assuming.
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you so much.
Other questions for the police department? Come on up.
Thank you. Natalie Wassa for the record. I just want to clarify that question and that point because I don't want people calling HPD when bicyclists, whether they are riding e-bikes or regular bikes, if they are legally riding in the lane. And there are situations in which that is possible. For example, down Kalanianaʻole Highway, bicyclists are not allowed to ride straight through the right turn only lanes. Technically, they are supposed to get into the regular travel lane, pass the right turn only lane, get back in the bike lane. So there are many situations like that, and we need to be really careful about, as the officer said, about definitions. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Greg and then Paula.
It was my understanding that in general, bikes do have the right to be in a regular traffic lane on the state highways, not on the freeway. So that was, it was a two-part question, but is that correct? That you're saying in special circumstances, but I would say they're really entitled to it. It's much safer in the bike lane, but if they do cross over into a regular traffic lane, that is a right that bicycles have.
I'm sorry, you're telling me that it's legal for a bicyclist to ride down Cal Highway in a lane of traffic?
Not the smartest, but yes.
Paula.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. I'm calling to ask you about something completely different. As a cyclist who rides up and down this highways, one of the most jarring and disturbing things for me is the technical developments in boom boxes, and they kind of sneak up on you as we're riding. And I've been scared out of my skin by how loud they are. And I remember it must have been in the 80s when boombox laws went into effect. And then they got glorified by Hawaii News Now or somebody who did a segment on being loud and proud in your car. So I would like to know if any enforcement is going to be in effect to turn them down. Thank you.
HPD is constantly enforcing laws with law boom boxes. I can't tell you exactly how many citations, where it's been enforced, but it is enforced.
All right, any other comments or questions for the Honolulu Police Department? Come on up, Tom.
Thank you, officer, and all officers for risking your lives for us and for all that you do. Previously, I mentioned a NOAA radio device. It also has on it, as many do, a very loud siren. I'm wondering what you do to educate people about the tools that are available for self-protection in the way of technologies. There's smaller sirens that children can carry. In some states, there are various forms of spray that are legal. But I don't know a single source of where I can find out which the police recommend over others, which children can use, which teens can use, and which the public can use, how effective they are, and what the danger of being prosecuted might be if one uses one illegally. So how do we help protect ourselves and our children? Thank you.
Are you asking it as just a general during a case of emergency, or are you asking it as an everyday type thing?
I'm asking for the education that exists most effectively to decrease our ignorance in this area. How do you pinpoint precisely a way to eliminate attacking innocent people who are not self-protecting?
The best thing I can tell you, call 911 in the event of an emergency. Children cannot have any form of chemical agents. Adults may have, and the use of such chemical agents or any other self-protection device, the liability lands on you as far as articulating why you use such force and if it was necessary. Now, as far as education goes, that's something that I would have to address, check with my community policing team, see if they have any programs, but it might be something you might want to inquire with the chief's office.
All right, thank you very much, Sergeant Hung, for joining us tonight. A lot of questions that you had to navigate. We appreciate that you're here. Our next item on the agenda is the Board of Water Supply. Good evening, Iris.
Hi, everyone. Iris Oda, Board of Water Supply. I give a main break report of anything that happened in July for main breaks. And it was on July 30th, there was one in this neighborhood board. It was near 1096 Kamoku Street. So that happened. I have one general water announcement. So I have a flyer I pass out to the members, and it's on the table. It's Imagine a Day Without Water. So it's going to be in Waiʻi, but in case any of you are there, on Saturday, September 26th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Ark of Safety at Waiʻi Mall at 86-120 Farrington Highway. So this Imagine a Day Without Water is a partnership with the Office of State Representative Chris Muraoka and more than 25 city, state, nonprofit, and community organizations. So, join us for interactive exhibits and educational displays, hands-on activities and games, prize giveaways, a rain barrel workshop, and there's going to be some Ono food and refreshments available for purchase. It's a free, family-friendly event. And like I said, it highlights the importance of water and one water concept, which we recognize that all water is connected and it has to be managed as one valuable resource. So go to boardofwatersupply.com for more information on this. And so that's just my general announcement. I have 2 follow-up questions from last month. And I have to read my phone because my printout is in my computer at work, printer at work, which I left it there. So the first question was from Miss Bender. Last month, she asked about this Kuli'o and Mo'omuku area. So there was some police in the area. She asked about what was it about. So I don't report on that neighborhood board. That's actually Kuli'o neighborhood, but I could ask. And the question, the incident she's talking about, there was police in the area because there was a leaking valve in the area. So the crews were there to repair it and the police was there to help assist with traffic control. But usually, let's see, also the question, it's a multi-level question. Has there been any main breaks along that main or in the area? So we have 11 water main breaks in the whole Kuli'o area in 2025 and 9 since June up to June of 2026. So we continually evaluate the condition of the main break histories and the age of the water mains. And if it does need to be replaced, we try to group the main breaks together and do a capital improvement projects if it's warranted. And we have to, these capital improvement projects, they're separate than just the main break fixings because we want to focus on fixing the main break, not replacing the main at that time. So our capital improvement project, which is separate, would include design, construction, and permits, things like that. So that is more long-term repair. So let's see. So that was the one question. And then the second question I had was Mr. Wolf. Sorry, let me get to this. I need a bigger phone. Okay. So you mentioned on July 14th, there was the civil beat that you read or something, that the feds were just dumping tens of thousands of gallons of water that it was treated, and it was just, they just dumped it. So he was asking, can Board of Water Supply do something to rein them in? And, why didn't they irrigate with it? Because at that time, we asked people to conserve, we always ask people to conserve water, be conscientious of your water usage. But in terms of the federal government and that usage, so yeah, we don't have any regulatory authority over the US Navy's remediation activities or any decisions regarding the management of their treated water. So including the reuse or irrigation. That, I kind of mentioned it, what falls under the authority of the US Navy, the Department of Health, and the EPA. So while we don't have any regulatory authority, since I brought this up to our communications office, our manager, Chief Ernie Lau, he mentioned he meets with the feds. So he mentioned it to the Rear Admiral Ortiz on August 5th about our concerns, your concerns. So at least, it's a good question, and we can bring it up to our manager and get some discussion going with whichever agencies. So thanks for the question. That's the two answers.
Are there other questions for the Board of Water Supply? Yes, Paige?
Hi, Iris. Thank you. How is the Board of Water Supply prepared and or preparing for the next Lala that does not pass us by? According to the paper, and as we all know, it will be catastrophic if a hurricane hits this island. And I just am curious as to how BOW is prepared for something like that.
So I won't have the specific things, but we do have plans in place. We have generators for power when there is power outages. We have learned actually that the longer power outages and it's happening more often, we're actually trying to get more generators because we need power at the well stations. We want to pump the water up from the ground, pump it to the reservoirs, and then gravity works its way down. So in that respect, we have water. That's why when we know a storm is coming up, which we are part of the emergency response, emergency management, I don't know the terminology, but we are part of that. So they do notify us of the storms. We are updated like every hour. We do our best to top off reservoirs, get the reservoirs to the generators to the appropriate larger well stations. So we have that. We even have our team that go to the Nu'uanu open reservoir number 4 to make sure that the elevation of the dam, the water, is not too high. Then they want to make sure that that's also draining, so that's protected. So
do you have enough trucks and enough water supplies on hand to be going to every single neighborhood and to be going around the island to provide water to not just humans, but to the livestock that's on this island, and to make sure that anybody who needs water has it? Are you guys prepared for something like that?
We have vehicles to drive around. In terms of water trucks to provide water, I would have to ask, but our priority is domestic consumption and for people, and you have to be on the Board of Water Supply system. In terms of livestock, that's a good question, but I would probably think that people are more critical. And
people are more critical, but one of the problems we're having in Naalehu right now is that the cattle are 6,000 head of cattle are without water, and that's a major issue. It would be really nice if we could become more sustainable as a state, and part of that is making sure that the utility companies are prepared for as prepared as they could be for whatever might or might not come.
Yeah.
And so I'm just asking Board of Water Supply, because yes, humans are more important to some people, maybe not, but they are more important. I just want to know that, Hawaiʻi is not going to be waiting for a water truck because y'all are over on the west side, that you have enough vehicles that you will be going and supplying water. In the event like we just had at 45 hours, almost 48 hours without power, I can only get so much water out of my water heaters and then it's done. And I don't have a water truck coming to my house to give me water, so
Well, you ran out of water at your.
no,
Okay,
but
so everything should be coming to you. If there's no main breaks and things, you should be getting water from
yeah,
the
but there's no way
reservoir.
for me to know that there's no main break. And if there's a
But you turn on your
catastrophe
tap.
and there's a hurricane that hits
Yeah.
us, I doubt my faucet's going to be working. So I'm
Yeah.
just concerned that Board of Water Supply is a utility of this island and that you guys are looking
Oh, yes.
forward and being proactive about
Oh,
that.
yes. So,
Okay.
yeah, they have those
Thank
kind of
you.
plans. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sam?
Thank you for the update and your continued presence at the meetings. Do you have an idea of how long the well stations can operate in the event of a power outage with the generators, at least for this area of Hawaiʻi?
Okay. I would have to ask, but it's however long a generator can last with the fuel that they're putting into it. So it depends on the power usage and the draw on the generator, how many hours it can be used. And the wells only turn on for so long and it's used to fill up the reservoir, then it can turn off and they can refuel. So in that way, it's kind of indefinite as long as we have fuel.
And as
Yeah.
long as Board of Water Supply has access to refill the generators?
That type of things too.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to make sure we have access and we have same access as everyone else. You can see if the roads are down, trees are covering a road, we can't get there, so, but we are interconnected too. So if that one reservoir, well station can't fill that reservoir, if we are able to, we can push water from further in town to Hawaiʻi. And sometimes we're on the horn from Waimanalo side, if really necessary.
So is it still recommended to fill up your bathtubs to be able to flush your toilets, or is that sort of a bygone era?
I'll look into that. I mean, I myself do that personally. I don't need to do the bathtub. I actually fill up pots and pans because it's easier for me to carry and my tub might leak down. So, yeah.
Other questions? Yes, Johanna?
Good segue. I actually was able to use my Board of Water Supply plastic bags, the ones that you guys are handing out at several fairs. I got 3. So I was able to fill those up in anticipation for this past storm.
Good.
So my household is very fortunate to have a battery. So we were using it very, very sparingly to get internet and in like 15-minute bursts to be able to get on YouTube and to see what the news was saying about power outages, but more importantly, conserve water. I believe there were several blasts from Board of Water Supply, like news blasts to conserve water. But again, if you don't have internet, should we assume that if the power is out that we should be conserving water? Should we just automatically assume?
Yes. Yes. In general, in life, just conserve water as much as possible, but definitely
Yeah.
when there is a power outage, conserve even more just for basic hygienic type of things as much as possible. Because everybody that can save leaves it available for all to share. So, but yes, only for hygienic use if as much as possible. But she mentioned this plastic bag that we have. I don't have it with me, but it's a couple gallon bag, maybe a gallon or 2 bag, and you can fill it up and it stores flat. And I don't know how you can dry it out. I haven't used mine yet, but yeah, and you can do that. And it's small enough so you can carry it. That's why we didn't make it very large because it becomes too heavy. It's a great thing. So I got to find out about getting some. That was a good thing that you brought up. It's available at fairs and stuff like that, but I will see if I can bring some to another board meeting. I think I passed it out a while ago. to every member.
Before my time, I think.
Okay, no, it should have been.
All right.
Okay.
Iris, I wanted to ask you, I know the city is going to be conducting some meetings on the future of wastewater and stormwater system management. Is the Board of Water Supply involved in those discussions, or is that a totally different agency?
It's a different agency. Wastewater is ENV and stormwater, I think, is ENV or DPP. So it's a different agency. DFM. So I'm not sure because I'm not sure which this project is, but I'll bring that up. Is it a presentation they're going to be doing or something?
I was going to announce this under community announcements, but the city is hosting a number of community meetings on the future of wastewater and stormwater systems. And the meetings are going to be held on September 2nd at Kailua Elementary School cafeteria, September 3rd at Kapolei Hale ground floor conference room, and September 10th at the Mission Memorial Auditorium. It's open to the public, and they're soliciting input from community. So if anybody is interested.
That's good to know. I guess if we were involved and they gave you a notice, it would probably say stormwater, board of water supply and stuff. We would be on that flyer if we weren't participating, but I'll let them know.
Okay.
I didn't write the date. You said Kailua and.
Kailua on September 2nd,
I'd say, okay.
Kapolei September 3rd, and downtown September 10.
Downtown. Okay. I will write that down.
Yes, Greg?
Just to add to that, in the past, this wastewater management debate was about setting up basically another agency and another billing cycle based on how much your property has water runoff or how much soaks into the ground, the pervious, how well
Right.
the water soaks into the ground, which I think is entirely unfair. And the mention from the city today did not bring that up. So I don't know if that's still in the works, but it does seem crazy because in drier areas, they'd be charged a disproportionate amount compared to places like Manoa or, places that have heavy rainfall. So I think it just looks like, oh, it's just a discussion on wastewater management, but it might be another tax or a fee to citizens. So it needs to have community input.
Yeah, I think from that point, you're right. That's not Board of Water Supply. That was stormwater, different agency. And I think it ended up, that was like a legislative thing or something. There was something that was voted on to add that.
Well, it would still be city, but it would
City,
be,
but yeah, not the Board of Water. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Iris, for joining us tonight and for all of that information.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is a report on the Kaiser Complex Schools. Welcome, Mr. Gu.
Aloha and good evening, board. I'm Cappy Gu, principal of Hawaiʻi Elementary School, representing all of the Kaiser Complex of Schools. So let me just do a quick report, and then we have a special treat at the end. For Kaiser High School, Kaiser Cougar football defeated Pac-5 in preseason matchup, 55-7. Go Cougars. Gearing up for homecoming week is going to be September 14th to 19th. We'll hear a little bit about that later. Update on International Performing Arts Center. Planning and design work continued throughout the summer, and coring for soil samples and sounding for underground pipes was the main job that was happening over that summer, and it continues. On a side note, 2026 graduate of Kaiser High School, Vera Wang, is going viral right now. She discovered fungi found in coconut husks that can break down plastics and sunscreen chemicals. So pretty awesome. She's a current student at MIT. Student activities after school clubs and intramurals at New Valley Middle School. They have a math counts, which is a competitive math team. They have the Korean club, Kendama club, cross country. They also do a club rush with multiple clubs that they can sign up for, and a sports rush. They also have a community gardening on Saturday mornings, so check it out. Ainahaina Elementary School, they're calling all alumni families and friends and community members to celebrate a historic milestone, 75 years on September 20th. So for more information, just go to www.ainahainapta.com. As far as Hawaiʻi, we have our dual language program. It's now kindergarten to 5th grade, and that's half the day in Japanese and half the day in English instruction. And part of the culminating activity is a global connections trip, and that's an experience in a foreign country and visiting a sister school. So in July 2025, we traveled to Fukuoka and Kumamoto schools. This past June, we traveled to Kobe University Elementary School. And coming up next June, we will plan to travel to a Nagoya school district. Kamilawiki, one thing about Kamilawiki, they utilize a safe form of AI for students called Magic School AI. So it's a closed system, and it's safe from outside interaction or any machine learning. And so these students build AI skills to prepare for the real world, and it amplifies their research skills and also their student agency. And then finally announcing Cocoa Head Elementary, they selected a new principal, and her name is JC Cunningham. So we're so excited to have a permanent principal there, and she comes with lots of experience from the Farrington complex of schools and also as a teacher at Kahala Elementary School. All right. I'll take any questions, but then I'll have a special treat for you guys.
Mr. Gu, could you please explain again what Vera Wang's discovery was? Because it's not on your report.
Yes, so she just, through her science fair project, where she placed 3rd in the International Science and Engineering Fair this past May, she discovered fungi found in coconut husks that can break down plastic and sunscreen chemicals. So you can see it on Instagram. It's going everywhere. So, yeah. Any other questions for me? A little bit about the storm. All schools were ready and willing to open up as shelters if needed. And so principals were standing by. We were all without power. I think Hawaiʻi was the second to last to get up to speed. I think we were out for about 40 hours, and then New Valley another maybe 12 hours until they were up. But Kamilawiki, Cocoa Head, and Kaiser, they came up a little bit earlier, but we were ready. Custodial crews and administrators were out there Monday morning just cleaning up their campuses, some downed trees and branches, but not too much damage. The most damage was at New Valley Middle School, where one of the roofs got damaged, C building. Okay, I'd like to bring up a special guest speaker, and that's the student body vice president, Yasmin Hajiro. That's from Kaiser High School, but she's also a Hawaiʻi graduate.
Okay, good evening. My name is Yasmin Hajiro, and I'm a Kaiser High School Student Body Vice President, and I joined here tonight by my advisor, Mr. Paul Delabalaz, as the Student Activities Coordinator. First of all, thank you, Chair, Mayor, and board members for allowing me this time and continuing to support Kaiser High School. I'm here tonight to share out on several things happening at Kaiser this quarter and provide updates about our homecoming event, which is approaching fast. Last time, our student council was here to present. Our student body president, Gavin Antonio, spoke about the homecoming parade happening on Thursday, September 17th, which is followed by our Power Puff flag football game and the traditional Flaming K. Our parade is planned to begin at 5 p.m. and will feature our cheerleaders, Kaiser Student Council, ROTC, and Color Guard, our marching band, many of our students and student athletes, our alumni, and of course, our homecoming court. We've already began publicizing to our community neighbors and will be going door to door next Monday, sharing in person with residents along the parade route that may be affected. The parade is also, of course, only one part of homecoming week, and we have a packed week of spirit games, dress-ups, fair assemblies, daily music and giveaways, and a dance. It's definitely a week we all look forward to every single year. Finally, I know that we've shared in the past our school receiving the state and national Gold Council of Excellence Awards, but we barely talk about one of the best parts of our student council, which is our student clubs, which is a branch of our student government that we're very proud of. This Thursday during lunch, our school is hosting its 5th annual Club Rush, an event much like a school fair that showcases the variety of clubs that are offered here at Kaiser. Some clubs at Kaiser are co-curricular and have opportunities for students to compete at tournaments set across the state or even take their skills to the mainland and compete on the national level. Clubs like Science Olympiad, Math Team, Chess Team, and Robotics all consistently put out competitive and winning teams. Other clubs are hobby or special interest based, like Gaming Club, Mahjong, Pickleball, and Baking, and give students a place to go to enjoy and follow the passion in an alternative learning environment. Finally, while every club is required to serve our community in some way or another, our school, we also have clubs like Leo Club, Key Club, Interact, Just Serve, and Wipeout Crew that specifically feature volunteerism and service learning as their own goal. Of course, there's my own club, Global Library Initiative, that every year runs a book collections to help fill libraries across Africa, and this year we're focusing on Ghana. We're proud to report that in the last several years, club membership has skyrocketed, and we now routinely have over 35 student-run clubs and organizations, with roughly 600 members. All that showcase the array of passions that can be found in Cougar Country. As the chairperson of clubs, I'm looking forward to supporting and celebrating our clubs this year and will ensure that 1 to 2 clubs are highlighted at every board meeting we will attend. Finally, in an effort to continue opening spaces to grow and cultivate our community, we wanted to share that every second Saturday from 9 to 12, we have host community volunteer days at Peace and Sustainable Garden at Kaiser. New Hope has partnered with us and supplies refreshments and lunch for everyone. More information can be found on our school's website. We appreciate all your guys' support and plan to send representatives to board meeting each month this year. Thank you all very much, and go Cougars. If you have any questions, Mr. Paul de la Balaz and I are more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Yasmin, for a great report. Are there any questions for Jasmine or Mr. Gu? No questions. You were very thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see that Galen Wong is online from the Hawaii Department of Transportation. Galen, can you tell us if that car that is off Kalanaʻanaʻole Highway has been removed?
Okay, so I have to give you an update on that. Yeah, good evening, Chair Mayor and Hawaii Neighborhood Board. Yeah, when I talked to the staff, they said that because it's not our responsibility, we have no contract, and we cannot store the vehicle. We do not tow the vehicle because then we would have to seek reimbursement from the private car owner. So that's the responsibility of the car owner to get his vehicle out of there. But once our main concern is, the staff main concern is to repair and put back the guardrail because of the safety concerns. So once they do that, then the car owner would have to get permits and get okay to take out the guardrail and everything to get their vehicle out of the property, because yeah, we don't they say that we do not touch that, and we do not do that. We don't know why, when the vehicle first had the accident, why the police, if there was a police report or a police officer there at the time of the accident, why they did not call the um the county towing yard, tow trucks, and to have it towed out of there and stored in their facility, because we do not do that. That's why I don't know why the owner hasn't gone and retrieved the vehicle, if it was stolen or not. So that's another situation that has to be resolved with the owner and and when the county and stuff like that. So that's the reason why that vehicle is stuck there.
So,
I don't
Galen,
know if yeah.
you're saying that the vehicle is on city land. Is that correct? And so you have
Not
no
on city land.
jurisdiction.
It's that it was an accident that happened, and why the police that was there that could have wrote the report and then had the car towed off of the property at that time of the accident, and it had it stored in the city's storage yard for abandoned, like for abandoned vehicles or vehicles that got into an accident and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's on state land. but we haven't figured out how to get it out of the ravine.
Right. That's not that's the owner's responsibility because already we gotta go after the owner for damaging the guardrail and replacing it. So we gotta go to court to just get uh to the insurance company or whoever the owner of the car to try to get the replacement cost of replacing the guardrails. Anytime a car damages any of those things, the guardrail or the walls of highway stuff, we have to go after the owner and the insurance company to get the reimbursement for those damages. So if we go in and tow it, which we are not allowed to, we would have to go and get recoup the reimbursement for that vehicle and all that and storage, and we don't have that. Uh, we do not have that ability to store or tow the vehicle out of there. If it's our property,
Okay.
or I don't know if the land and natural resources probably have the same kind of problem where they do not tow cars out of their property or store it too. Yeah, that would be another. I would think someone would have to make a request to any of the directors or even to the governor to have them try to resolve the situation. But yeah,
All
that's the
right.
reason why we do not.
Galen, we
Yeah.
have a couple of folks from the state who are listening in on your conversation.
Right.
The governor's representative and some of our legislators. So perhaps they'll be able to
Yeah,
help us,
get it
help
resolved
us
and
with
get
a
it.
remedy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
All
sorry
right.
because that's what I got from our crew people, and also on the on traffic. Whenever they do any kind of road work on Cal Highway, anytime there's a 2-lane closure, we're supposed to make an announcement as far as, oh, we're supposed to get an approval from Director Sniffen regarding that we're gonna close the 2 lanes on the highway before we can. He has to approve it before we can go ahead with that type of road work, and then we make our announcement to our public access office, Shelly Kuni Shige, and or we put it on our website about those. But if there's an emergency or one of the utility companies do road work and they shut down 2 lanes and they don't inform us that they are, then that's where the problem arises. So depending on what happened with that road war, I'm not sure if it was ours or it was one of the utility companies that had to do an emergency and shut down a couple of the lanes on the highway. But they supposed to coordinate with our staff that they're gonna shut down 2 lanes because they have to get prior approval to do that kind of work. But if it's an emergency, then that's another story. Yeah, on that type of closures of 2 lanes on the highway.
All right, I'm going to just ask the board members if they have any questions for the Hawaii Department of Transportation, HDOT. Yes, Sam?
Thank you, Galen. I guess as it relates to the lane closures, is there a particular threshold, I guess, of inconvenience or traffic
Yeah, would be the
to
2 lanes.
because
If it's 1 lane, they can still manage it. But then when it comes to 2 lanes, they know that's going to cause a big problem because 2 lanes on the is it what a 3 or 4 lane Cal Highway area mostly. So that either makes it, you know, 2/3 closed or or half of the capacity of the highway. So that's you know that's going to cause a lot of major problems.
I guess where do we draw the line as to when this type of road work is to be done at nighttime or outside of peak traffic hours?
Depending
Because
on the type of work and the amount of noise, because they don't want to make nighttime closures and it's a lot of noise, like pounding the
so,
ground or that kind of things. And the neighbors, then the houses in the vicinity will, yeah, will make a complaint. So it all depends on the type
so
of
there's like
road work and the amount of noise that it's going to be creating.
there's a decibel level that
Yeah,
the work
they have to,
warrants
yeah,
being done during the daytime, regardless of how much
yeah,
traffic it causes. If
right,
thousands of people have to wait an additional
right.
30
But
minutes to
they
get to the
supposed to
freeway.
announce those type of road work 48 hours before it starts, so to give the drivers and the residents that notice that they should
that we
know
should
about or
drive
pay attention, right?
around
Yeah.
the,
Or try to
for the
work around
quality.
the hours and stuff like that. That's
Okay.
the only thing that I can, that's the only thing that they do or we do.
Well, I just want DOT to recognize the amount of inconvenience to the quantity of people in East Honolulu when even
Right.
one lane is shut down, because it triples the time to
Yeah.
get to the freeway. And there's a lot of commitments that people have in their lives, whether it be with kids or work or business engagements, that disrupts. And so I was just looking for a little bit more understanding of what that wait time, if there is that threshold, that, hey, this is too much of an inconvenience. We got to do this at night, because it doesn't seem like any of that is happening on Cal Highway with these the road work, whether it be through HECO or for the guardrail replacement, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Any other questions, comments for Galen? Yes, come on up. Natalie?
Thank you, Chair. Board members, Natalie Wassa for the record. Just a follow up on something that Greg brought up. I think it was May. I wanted to thank him first of all, but the yield sign at Lunalilo Home Road and Kalaniana Ole Highway by Coco Marina Shopping Center is in the wrong place, as he pointed out. And I don't know what the status was. I don't know if the DOT is going to be doing something about that, but I wanted to remind.
I reported that last time when you brought it up, that our traffic branch has mentioned that it was correctly done, or is it's correctly aligned the way they have it right now. So
Okay,
I'm not too
so
sure why they saying that they're supposed to have a yield before the people crossing the intersection area or the median or the island.
I
Back
think,
to
no, I
the-
think you reported, Galen, that the yield sign was for the ongoing traffic
Right.
from the Hanama Bay area. And it was for the cars that are turning right onto Kalanaʻaole Highway to
Right.
yield to the oncoming traffic.
So
Okay.
if I may, I have 2 points. First of all, I know several of you will remember that in the scenic byway plan, that yield sign was, we had requested to have that removed. It is in the incorrect position because it should be motorists yielding to pedestrians. There is a solid
It's supposed
line
to,
there
right?
between.
I
There
I
is-
would have to check with the bikeway, the scenic bikeway people to verify all that stuff. Then I'll who is do you know who you worked with or communicated with or have worked with, and what staff?
The scenic byway was put in a while ago, and it is in the documents. I don't have those on hand. However, I just
Okay.
want to make the point that there is a solid line there. That means that people coming from Hanama Bay should not be crossing over into that right lane.
Right.
That is a very clear law.
Right.
There is no need to have a yield sign there, and in fact, it causes problems because that is a dedicated right turn only lane.
Mhm.
Unlike the one at Keahole, which is not, I'm sorry, protected, it is a protected right turn only lane. Now, if that is not fixed, I would also like to point out that the message that you are giving motorists coming from Hanama Bay is that disregard our lines, disregard the law that you're not supposed to cross over into that lane because people coming from the right turn only lane on Lunalilo Home Road have to yield to you. Now, I ask you, is that the message we want to give our motorists? That they should be disregarding our laws when a sign is in the incorrect place? I don't think so.
No,
So
no, you're right. I mean, the problem is I gotta bring this up with the staff and find out if there is a solution or why, or we gotta educate the drivers. I mean, I understand what's a white solid line. You're not supposed to cross. I mean,
That's right.
but do everyone else follow all the same rules? It's hard to say because everyone have their own different driving habits. But if you understand the law, you're not supposed to drive on across a solid line or even a double solid line, right? I mean, I understand that, but we gotta either educate the drivers, or we gotta either enforce it with police present or stuff like that. So that's the only way we can resolve something like that. Other than putting the delineators and stuff like that,
We don't
like how
need
we do with the end of
delineators.
year. Right. So
Galen,
yeah,
Galen, I think that what Natalie is asking is that you take this back to
our
your
staff.
office and indicate that the community thinks that this yield sign is not necessary in its current location.
Right.
And
Can-
please
can
have
you-
it removed.
Yeah, can you send me the diagram or the area of that intersection so I can get it addressed? Because I'm getting, I just want to make sure that I got the right location and the right lane and everything.
It's right at Cocoa Head, Cocoa Marina District or Shopping Center. It's the right turn only lane heading Mackay on Luna Lilo Home Road. The other thing is I have is a request for motorists in general, because as you know, I ride bike often. And in that particular intersection, I come down, I pass the driveway for Taco Bell, and motorists will cut in front of me thinking that they can pass me. And I wiped out one time because a motorist stopped for a pedestrian. Now, I'm pretty sure that pedestrian saw me and was waiting for me to come through, but the motorist cut in front of me and stopped, and I wiped out. And, we all are able to use the roadway. We all have that right, and we all have responsibilities. So I just wanted to remind motorists of that. Thank you, Chair. Those are my points.
Yes, Paige?
I know exactly what you're talking about with this yield sign. The yield sign, it's there to yield to pedestrians that are crossing that little.
No, it's after the cross.
No. I know where it is. I know where it is. So what I'm asking is I'm wondering if that was the intention of why they put that sign there.
That's not my
Okay.
understanding. What Galen reported is my understanding that they.
So if the sign was moved to around the corner closer to where the Malasada truck is, and it said yield for pedestrians. Okay. So that's what I was trying to find out, is if it's moved up a little bit before the crosswalk and more closer to where the Malasada truck is, then and said yield for pedestrians, then we're cool.
That would make sense.
Okay. Did you hear that, Galen?
Yeah. So you
Okay.
guys want a sign that says yield to pedestrians in that.
But it
No,
needs to be
Galen,
moved. The
Galen,
sign would need to be moved.
We're not saying we need a sign.
Right.
You're saying the sign is in the wrong position. It's
Because you're
not
supposed to yield to
necessary
the
where
pedestrians.
it's at.
The
Yeah, but
sign where it is does not work. Either put a sign in, take the sign out completely because it doesn't work and it's not correct, or put a sign in that's in the correct place that says yield for pedestrians. That's what we're saying.
Right.
One
So
or the other.
We have different kind of signs. We have signs that says yield to pedestrians, and we also have signs that says yield to traffic. So that
No, we're talking
if
about
it's just a
yielding-
straight yield sign, yeah, that's why there's the confusion on that side.
No, there's no
sometimes when
confusion. No, there's no confusion. The confusion is either take the sign out from where it is right now because it's not correct and it's in the wrong place. If you
Okay.
have to have a sign there and your intention was to put a sign there to yield to pedestrians, which I doubt it is because of the positioning, move the sign closer to where
The
the Malasada
intersection.
truck is and the sign should say yield for pedestrians.
Right.
Okay. I had,
All right, thank you very much, Galen. I'll follow up with you on this.
sorry,
Oh,
I-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
before page, but anyway. Yeah, that yield sign is not needed, not just in the wrong position. If it's relating to the crosswalk, it should say stop for pedestrians in crosswalk. Yield implies that the cars are entering a lane that is used by two sets of cars, but it is, as you say, a dedicated protected lane. So it shouldn't be there. If anything, just a cautionary sign about like watch for merging traffic. But as has been pointed out, the only merging is from cars that are illegally crossing the white line before moving over to the right to get into Cocoa Marina. So yeah, and I'm a little frustrated too, how we keep hearing about I mean, when we have people reporting for the state for a particular agency, it would be nice if they were familiar with the roadways in our area before they come to represent their departments. I mean, to not know where Lunalilo Home Road and Kalanianole.
I understand that, but we're assigned. I'm assigned 3 different neighborhood boards, and I can't help that.
Okay, then go to
Yeah.
Google Maps and look up Lunalilo Home Road and Kalanianole Highway. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous to have
I
people.
drove there before, so I understand it, but I'm trying to get everything in what you guys want at the same time, and I'm trying to do my best to contact our people. But if you don't want me on this board to attend anymore, I won't attend anymore.
No, no, that's not what we're saying, Galen. We just would like some clarity on the yield sign. It is just a
Right.
general yield sign.
Right.
So it's not very clear. It causes confusion. And so we would like your staff to take another look at whether or not it can be removed or
Right.
moved.
I'll Google it and look it on Google Maps, see if I can even see that.
All right, thank you. Another comment?
Just a quick comment. So I should wait my turn, but it has to do with what we're talking about. On Thursday, Director Sniffen from DOT and a representative for DTS will be at my talk story at the Oahu Club. I think it'll be a great opportunity to continue this conversation and talk straight to Director Sniffen on something.
All right,
Thanks.
great. Good point. Thank you so much. Galen, I want to thank you for being with us and keep coming. I know we sometimes subject you to some searing questions, but we appreciate you being with us.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to be moving on to community announcements. We've taken a long time on our status reports this evening. So any community announcements? Come on up.
Thank you, Roberta. My name is Tom Cooper. I'm here representing Hawaiʻi Advocates for Respectful Development, known as HARD. This is the first time I'm wearing our new cap because it has a new logo on it, which means we need to report to Principal Shannon Gu to put up signs that this is now a hard hat zone. If you would like to see the James Building, Boston Pizza, 7-Eleven, and the Cocoa Head Building next door preserved, please sign our petition at hahaioniadvocates.com. If you'd like to let the owners of these property leases, Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, know what you would like to see for the future of those buildings, please take our survey to voice your own input, since the owners have kindly said they'll see the survey results and they want to see them. If you're here in the room, I can give you the QR code. However, we have a wonderful cameraman who's putting it up so that you can lock in, and he's going to continue to hold it while I'm speaking because it's more attractive than my face. So we're informed by the manager of the James Building that a representative of a major charter school has recently toured the building, and your own Lisa Bishop, by your own, I mean the board's Lisa Bishop, and I recently accompanied Aloha McGuffey, whom you've heard present to this board about resiliency centers, on a tour of the James with Fujitsu's representative. Earlier this month, we also hosted several members of James Bond, the alumni group of James graduates, for a tour of the James with lunch from Boston Pizza and 7-Eleven, because those are 2 other properties that we protect. Please, a heads up, Council Chair Tommy Waters and Representative Joe Gideon have said they'll include the survey QR code in their upcoming newsletters. Thank you to both of you. So please bring those notices to the attention of your friends, neighbors, family, and contacts. We want to give shout outs. Some of these are people online, to many who are supporting us, including Brad Coles, the manager of the Cocoa Head Building, Robin Flanagan, who's the manager of the Aloha Club, Senators Chris Lee and Stanley Chang, Representatives Joe Gideon and Mark Hashem, candidates Jason Liang Kahi is here, and of course, Council Chair Tommy Waters and his staff, including Kevin, Megan, and Adam, and just about all members of his board. I'm going to single out only the officers to save time: Roberta, Greg, Elizabeth, and Lisa. Whether you'd like to join us as volunteers or leaders, we have a place for everyone. Note these categories. Beginning with being a hardliner or joining our hardcore if you're passionate, or you can just be hardly there as an occasional volunteer. But if you're playing hard to get, please see Roberta and she'll play hardball. I'm kidding, and soften you up. Once again, please visit www.hahauniadvocates.com. Thank you for holding up the QR code. I was concerned that I'd be speaking too late, Roberta, but I have good news. The record report that when I started, it was 1:29 on that clock. If you look at that clock, everyone, and now I'm finishing at 1:29. I rest my case.
Well, that's going to be a hard act to follow. Kahi Bakaro, just wanted to follow up. I wanted to mention this summit that I'm hosting. I run a nonprofit called Parlay for the Oceans. You guys have heard about in the past. This will be the third year we're hosting the Ocean Uprise Summit in Cabela Bay. We bring in 15 of the world's youth leading activists from around the world, and we pair it with 15 kids from here. I wouldn't call them kids, young adults, 18 to 30 years old. And I want to make sure our community is represented. We found one young man from our community that's going to be joining, but I wanted to make sure if you knew of any other upcoming local leaders that wanted to participate, that they get their application in by this Friday. It's an all expense paid event, glamping event out of Cabela Bay, and it's amazing. So if they got any questions, they can go to my social media profile and link through there, or just look up the Ocean Uprise. Next thing, I was impressed by Representative Gideon's recent social media posts and newsletters regarding the HECO survey. All right, and our district, District 19, overlaps with that issue. And I followed up and created a survey that matches his so that we can mimic the data and provide it to Hawaiian Electric. So I put it out on a newsletter, also included a link to the hard survey, and encourage our District 19 part of this neighborhood board, and along with District 18, to fill out that survey so that we can get that data to HECO. Lastly, special session. There's been a request to have a special session at the legislature to tackle corruption. All right, this is a opportunity to close the contractor loophole. It doesn't look like it's going to happen because not enough of our legislators are signing on to this, as if corruption is not that big of an issue. I do want to commend Joe, who has signed on to that, but our other representatives have not done so. So I think it's important for us to close contractor loopholes, because many of our legislators are getting paid by these contractors and also work for these contractors, and the conflict of interests are a disservice to us, the voters. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other community announcements? I have a hand online. Jason Liang, go ahead.
Hi, how's it? Good evening, everyone. Jason Liang. Just want to make an announcement that I've asked our council chair, Tommy Waters, to expand the CERT training. That's the Community Emergency Response Team. They offer training in regards to emergency response like storm, fire, first aid, and triage. And I thought that this training would be important because, as we've seen with the damages and the prevalence of natural disasters, that this training will be very important in the future. I'd also want to advocate that as we build up these resiliency hubs, that issues such as, I believe, the issues that Paige experienced during a power outage, this would be something that a resilience hub could help to address as we form communities to, whether it's provide just response, or people who have radios or electrical services or power stations, something that we can assist with. And I also wanted to bring up the topic of proposing a resolution to City Council to make the HECO grid publicly owned. As we know, that HECO is a private, or they are publicly traded, and they are for profit, and it is not profitable for them to prevent disasters and prevent disruptions in service. It is more profitable for them to sort of just sit on their hands and let us wait for our power to come back on. Kauai has a utility cooperative that started since 1992 when Iniki hit, and they had 270 people lose power when the storms hit, compared to about 100, I believe it was 114,000 people on Oahu who lost power. When we remove profit from the equation, we can put that money towards making our grid more resilient and preventing outages. And that's something I wanted to bring up as a proposed to the neighborhood board as a resolution. Additionally, I want to ask if there was interest in a resolution that would provide a property tax credit that would limit our property taxes to 1% of our household income. It would build off the current property tax structure, which is that you have to have a exemption and make below a certain income. My proposal is that you make below $120,000 and it limit your property taxes to 1% of your household income. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. If you would like to submit anything in writing in terms of those ideas that you would like support with, it would be helpful if you send them by email so that we'd have an opportunity to consider it. Okay? Any other community announcements? If not, we're going to be moving on to public generated issues. Is there any public generated issue that the community would like to bring to our attention? Would you please come on up?
Good evening and thank you. I'm Jennifer Taylor. I'm the president of the board of the Maunalua Triangle Kokokai Community Association. And I'm here to ask for your advice and your guidance because our association is at a real crossroads in trying to prevent a devastating fire that would affect at least the 500 homes in our association, everywhere from the Cocoa Head Slope to Maunalua Bay, and that would include about 1,000 or more lives as a result of a fire that could occur on the Cocoa Head Slope. In any high wind area, there would be nothing to stop that fire from leaving the slope and wiping out all the homes along its path. Since 2023, we've tried very hard to get Parks and Rec to be responsive to reduce the risk that is there due to all the shrubbery, the dry grasses, not dry right now, perhaps been a high wind, hot climate situation. It is a disaster waiting to happen. Chair Waters has been very responsive. His office has worked with us to try to get Parks and Rec to do something to remediate that slope, which is their responsibility. They have not responded. HECO was very good in last year clearing some of the area around their wires. But of course, those grasses have now grown back. And in a high wind situation, a spark could travel very far outside that cleared area into any place on that slope, which just represents an inferno waiting to happen. So here's the timeline that's brought us to this place. We started in 2023. November of 2023, we received an update that Parks and Rec was working on a plan. That's what they told Chair Waters' office. In February of 2024, the update we got was that HFD was going to work with DPR to address the problem. In May of 24, the update the Chair Waters' office received from DPR was that it was costly and difficult to remediate the slope. No timeline, no action. In March of 2025, DPR told Chair Waters' staff that they would be issuing an RFP for a contractor and that they were going to issue it in that month of March 2025. We were also told that DPR had listed the Cocoa Head Slope as #4 priority project for the fiscal year of 24-25. In July 2026, we heard that Cocoa Head Slope is now #10 on the list. Now, we're at a point where the fire risk is increasing and nothing has been done. Chair Waters has written a strong letter to Director Laura Thielen. We followed it up with a letter from our community, and now we don't know what else we can do. So any advice that you all could give us, that the community could give us on how we can stop this and get this slope cleaned before a fire occurs would be so helpful.
Comments and questions for Jennifer. Sam and then Paige.
Thank you for bringing this concern to the board. And I'm sorry it's been such a long time that you've been dealing with this and trying to get some resolution. I'd like to get some clarity. Are you looking at the slope of Cocoa Head that's fronting or behind Cocoa Head Terrace? But I see. Well, oh, so that would be Hanama Bay.
Coming across, remember, the other side of Hanama Bay backs right up on the neighborhood we're talking about.
Okay.
It comes right down, the city Parks and Rec property comes right down to Luma High Street, Polahali Street, and our residences.
And has your association done any independent research into what type of remedies are out there that the city could implement?
No, we have not yet done that. We have some ideas, but we need to do research. The research we did was to assess how big a risk was it. And when we looked at the conservation plan for East Oahu for wildfire, we are designated a high-risk zone. That entire area from the slope down to Portlock Road to Mauna Lua Bay is considered the highest risk area.
Could you tell me again the name of your homeowners association there?
It's a long name, isn't it? We keep looking for a better name. Mauna Lua Triangle / Kokokai Community Association.
Okay, thank you. Sam?
I guess it is such a difficult terrain because of the ravines that are there and the slope, the steepness of it. I mean, I don't see it done here often, but the only thing that I could think of is a controlled burn in a very on a very quiet wind day.
Or goats.
Okay, and then
Or goats.
Goats, but reseeding with natives that are not as prone for fire being dropped via drone or some sort of.
That would be a
aerial.
long-term solution.
Yeah.
Natives are, for so many of our problems, native plants, native fish, native algae is a solution for us.
Paige, go ahead.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you coming to us and talking to us about this. I might have a solution for this that is not a controlled burn. I'd like to talk to Chair Waters about this, and then also you, and maybe we can sit down and have a little powwow about maybe moving forward. I don't know if you've received any reasons from DPR as to why. Now, take into consideration, it took me 3 years to get our emergency siren fixed. So we're kind of right on target as far as like, it's been about 3 years, maybe in the next year or so, they'll consider this, a situation they have to deal with. But they have given no reason as to why they have not addressed this.
The only reason that we have heard, and I think I'm correct in this, is the one we got back in 2024, is that it was costly.
It was costly. Okay.
And difficult.
Okay. Well, I may have a solution for that.
I would think that the fire that would destroy 500 homes is a lot more costly than remediating that slope.
A
but
lot of
evidently-
attorneys. Yes, I would think that it would be, and we need to talk, because I think I have a solution that could be very less costly. Anyway, I appreciate it. I think that this is my district, so I'm very concerned. But what really concerns me is that, again, this is another situation on top of a lot of other situations that are before the city and the state and DPR and DPP and all these other agencies that we deal with on a daily basis with our government. that they tend to be very reactive instead of being proactive. And it's just another one of those situations. I would like to help somehow, maybe see how we can figure this out if we have to, apologize as opposed to asking permission sometimes. I mean, I hate saying that out loud, but it unfortunately, sometimes you have to take things into your own hands and just get them done. And because we're not hearing from DPR as to why this hasn't been fixed, that concerns me a lot. So anyway, thank you so much, and we'll talk.
Okay, Greg and then Paula.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the area you're talking about, there seems to be some confusion. Directly behind you, Jennifer, is a picture of Cocoa Head, and you can see the row of houses on Luma High Street. And of course, you're talking about how it could spread throughout all of Portlock, but your Long Community Association name isn't familiar with as many people as just Portlock. So anyway, that's what you're talking about. And then further, you have a very valid concern, but realize that that extends to every property that abuts land which is primarily owned by Kamehameha schools throughout all of Hawaii Kai, along the whole Ko'olau Ridge, and the fingers that go down. So it includes everyone there. And then, yes, it does become cost prohibitive. And so some solution is needed, but it's like, in all practical purposes, they can't really get in there. There is no access to the homes behind there on the slopes of Cocoa Head. And
Every day, Greg, so you can't tell me there's no access.
there is no access to build a 50-foot fire break right behind the homes. And there is access behind Cocoa Crater to some extent, and Kamehameha is doing some part to address that. But if you look at the broader picture, there are miles and miles of land abutting residential properties that are unprotected. So yeah, some solution is needed, but it's probably not in finding a government agency to do it or a private educational institution.
I think we're maybe a little confused. This is not Kamehameha owned property.
I'm talking about the broader picture. I'm saying this is a valid concern, but it's actually just a very small part of the problem.
And that's understandable, but this person does not live in the
And
broad
that-
picture.
Okay.
And
This
I
person
already said.
lives
all
in
that.
that district.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
Paula?
I just want to say one thing in response to Greg. We know that it is an accessible area because HECO did come out and did an excellent job of clearing under their wires in response to a request. So there is some accessibility. And they did a very good job and they didn't take that long to do it. Now, that doesn't apply to the entire slope, but it is accessible as Pico showed us, and it was possible for them to do some clearing.
Paula?
This is news to me that area is part of Parks and Recreation. So I live on the other side of the highway, right near Cocoa Crater. What is the protections for Cocoa Crater, and why doesn't it extend? Why don't they extend to Cocoa Head?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
That's
In terms of this, I looked at our neighborhood, responded to the homes that were there, and we did the due diligence to find out who was responsible for that area behind our homes and determined it was Parks and Rec, and nobody has disputed that.
All right, we have
But
a
I
couple more
can't
hands
see
up, and I'm going to move this along. Question from Lisa, and then Jason Liang online. Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Roberta. Jennifer, thank you for bringing this up at this neighborhood board. I think that while DPR may still be working on this, I think it's time to look at alternative solutions as well. Rep. Gideon, I think it would be helpful if we could start looking at some assistance from our state agencies. The city may not be able to have the financial resources or the manpower to execute contracts at this point in time that would be able to get this cleared within the next decade or so, but maybe our state counterparts would be able to help out. It would just require an MOU signed between the city and the state to allow that work to be done if the state has the resources to help out. Understanding that that land around Hanauma Bay falls under the auspices of the the state's division of coastal and conservation lands. So anything that happens there has to have state approval anyway. So I think that there's a nexus already between the state and the city about all of the land that surrounds Hanauma Bay. So if we could go ahead, especially with your meeting coming up this Thursday, if we could have a conversation with our state colleagues and see if they have some resources that they could dedicate to get this problem started or get at least the conversation started, that would be very helpful. At this point in time, we should be not as concerned about who's going to pay for it as how soon it can be done. So
All
we
right.
would really
Thank
appreciate
you,
your help.
Lisa. Jason?
Hi, just wanted to say that if you're interested in preparing for the Resilience Hub, to please reach out to Aloha McGuffey as well as the CERT training. And if anyone had any questions that they would like me to prepare for in a presentation about limiting our property taxes and what that amendment would look like, as well as what the possible consequences could be, yeah, please feel free to let me know.
Okay, and then Jennifer, you might also have your organization contact Hawaiʻi Kai Strong, because Matt Glee leads a group of various neighborhood groups in fire-wise mitigation. And it might be something that your community may need to take on itself, but that might be another option for your community association to consider.
Thank you.
And I'm going to bring this conversation to a close at this point. We're going to be moving on. We haven't even had our presentation yet. So I'm going to ask, is there any other public generated issue? Yes, Paige, and we're going to need to make this short. Go ahead, Paige.
I actually have two. They're both things I need to put out there and put up for discussion. And I think that they're both really important. The first one is, I want to first premise what I'm going to say with saying thank you so much to all of our HECO linemen, the people that are out there fixing and in the trucks and doing everything that they're doing, because their job was really, really difficult during the last Lala and then with what they've had to deal with since then. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is that irregardless of my personal situation and how I had to deal with Lala, I have to recognize that I live in a very urban city. Hawaii Kai has a Costco, and we do not live in a remote place with, where we don't have access to facilities. My heart breaks for the people in Ka'u but I have to be concerned with my own district, which is Hawaii Kai. And that district is bordering on just hitting its limit with the power outages that we've had to deal with from HECO. HECO knows, I'm putting this out there again as just, it needs to come up for discussion on a way broader and more vocal platform, because HECO really needs to get themselves together. We know where our power comes from in Hawaii Kai. We know that it comes from across from the Ko'olaus. Something needs to change in the respect of Hawaii Kai and where it gets his power, so that we do not have to deal with 45 and 48-hour power outages. And then again, I heard parts of Portlock Road, and again, another part of my district with the Triangle, people were out again yesterday for hours. And there was no storm yesterday. So something needs to be done. And I don't know whether it's the state has to talk to HECO or the PUC has to talk to HECO, but something has to change. And it needs to change now, before, and this is the word that came out of the newspaper, was before the catastrophe hits. And if people can't recognize right now that we were really, really lucky with Lala, Iniki turned at the last minute and hit Kauai head on. And those people were not prepared because they were told, oh, no, 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 it's going to pass. So we need to be talking to the people that are supposed to be supporting us, whether it's electricity or water or whatever it is, with our infrastructure. And I love stadiums, and I think rail is okay, but we really need to start working on what's best for our constituents. And right now, my concern is my heartbreaking for people that are still out of power and people like Naalehu and stuff, but we need to address this. And somebody needs to open this conversation, and it needs to be somebody who has some weight. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to bring up in a conversation, and this is not something the board can do anything about because it's not on the agenda, but I've had a lot of feedback, and I've had a lot of people call me before the ballots were due and after the ballots were already mailed out and after a lot of people had already voted. And people were asking questions like, who do I vote for? Tommy's out of the race, or no, Tommy's still in the race. Well, is it Trevor Ozawa, or who do I vote for? I mean, and it bothered me because my initial thought was that the fault of this brouhaha with the election with city council fell onto the Office of Elections. I worked with the state long enough, and I've been involved with these types of situations long enough that I know that my personal opinion was that it was up to them to vet whatever they were supposed to vet, to find out who was eligible and not eligible. They put Tommy Waters on the ballot. Now, irregardless of whether he's on the ballot or not, the fact of the matter is people voted for Trevor Ozawa because they felt, vote for Tommy Waters. They felt that it would be a wasted vote. A lot of people voted for Tommy Waters, irregardless. Well, he's on the ballot, he must be valid. Or I'm voting for him because if he does win this, then my vote's going to count. I would like to call for a special election. I would like this to be a fair election. Whatever the outcome is, I think that it's fair to all the voters who vote in this election to call for a special election for this particular race. And I would like to,
Just bring your comments
I am
to
bringing
a close, please.
I am bringing it to a close. I would like to believe that Trevor Ozawa would want to win this election fairly because people voted for him because they want him in office and not because he was a second choice. So I want that open for discussion too. Whether it needs to go on the agenda or not, I don't know, Roberta, but I don't know where to go from that, but that's just my suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, any other public generated issues? Now, Paige, I understand that the Hawaii Supreme Court heard oral arguments today, and that they will make some kind of a ruling on Friday. So hopefully the community will have a better understanding of what will happen in the general election. Okay, we're going to be moving on to our presentation.
Wait a minute. I'm not calling to say, let's just go forward with the general election. I'm saying we need to have a special election. When this decision is made, we need to go for a special election. That's what I'm saying. This general election is crap because the
All right,
primary.
so Paige, are you saying that you would like this to be placed on our next agenda?
Yes, I want a discussion. That's
Okay.
what I'm asking for. Thank you.
You want a discussion. Is there a second to Paige's request that this item be placed on our next agenda? Okay. I'll consider your request to place it on the next agenda, okay? Anson tells me we can't vote during the public generated issues. So, all right. Okay, all right. We're going to be moving on to our presentation. And our presentation tonight is the Hawaii Youth Prevention. And our presenter is Jenny Faust.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. My name is Jenny Fouch, and I am here with the Hawaii HIDA, which is the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. It's a federal grant program that's funded through the ONDCP and the White House in order to combat drug trafficking. The intended purpose of HIDA is to increase collaboration among law enforcement agencies at a state, federal, and local level, and helping to share resources and address the issue of drug trafficking statewide. But we also have the prevention team, which is where I work. And our goal with the Hawaii HIDA prevention team is to also increase collaboration by increasing collaboration among community organizations, community members, key stakeholders, and helping them to work towards reducing the use of substances like alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs for youth. So, next slide. So prevention over the last 20 years has been determined it is a science.
Oh, 1 minute, Jenny. Folks, can you take your conversation outside? Tommy, Paige, etc. Could you take your conversation outside? People inside should be paying attention to the presentation. Thank you very much, Jenny. Go ahead.
Okay, so prevention is a science, and there is a science that's also called the science of flourishing. So what we try and focus on with effective prevention strategies, and you'll hear a lot when you hear about prevention, about evidence-based effective prevention. And so what we want to do is focus on health, because if we are always focused on what the problem is, what the issue is, then that's where all of our time and our money and our resources go. But if we are focused on the healthy behaviors and how we grow the positive within the communities that already exists, then that's where we put our resources and our time and our energy and allow that positive community norm to grow. So next slide. The number one thing that you can do in prevention, even though you may not consider yourself a prevention provider, if you have a touch point with a youth, if you have youth in your community, youth in your neighborhood, there are ways to turn things so that you are actually building that protective factor. So the first thing that's most important is that we have the data to show that most youth are actually making healthy choices. This is really important to understand. 86% of Hawaii high school students are not using marijuana. I think it's 83.9% of Hawaii high school students aren't choosing to drink any alcohol. And so these are really important statistics, and it's important to share that most youth are making healthy behavior. So even if you don't remember the percentage, just saying most youth are making healthy choices can have a big impact on growing that. So there are a couple of examples of, saying, well, what's wrong with our youth today? Instead, try saying, well, what is helping youth the most to succeed right now? Instead of saying all youth are vaping, say most youth are making healthy choices. And instead of, well, why won't youth listen? How about saying, how can we make sure that youth feel heard and understood? So the way that we're working to try and do this with our community is, next slide, through the Hawaii Youth Prevention Initiative. So this is a statewide initiative that we are doing in collaboration with the Department of Education and the Department of Health through ADAD and the Opioid Settlement Fund. And it has 3 tiers. So tier 1 is building community support, which is one reason we're at events like this. We're also hosting community workshops. And you'll see another slide later that explains more about what the community workshops are. But we want to build an understanding of effective prevention within communities and help empower community members to recognize that they play an active role in prevention and how they can promote health and safety and support for the youth in their community. So then tier 2 is a youth summit that's currently scheduled to be hosted on October 26th of this year at Ko'olau Ballrooms. We're inviting 5 high school students from every high school in the state of Hawaii, public, private, and charter, and also an administrator from their school, somebody that has change-making power within the school, and also a trusted adult that works at the school, another teacher, a coach, someone that's a mentor to the students. It's going to be an all-day event within a youth track and an adult track. Then tier 3 is really mobilizing that into community action. So taking these community members that are a part of community prevention, that have attended the workshops, and getting them to collaborate in these work groups with the youth that have attended the summit. And this is really important to note that this is going to be youth-led. So this isn't just youth come and sit down at the table and, you know, we're going to tell you what the issue is in your community. We strongly believe that youth understand what the issues are in their community, and they just need help learning how to advocate for their communities. And so being able to know where those resources are in their community, how they can get access to those, and how they can advocate for themselves and the community at large. Next slide. So what we're doing, like I said, is we're hosting community workshops. The community workshops last about an hour. We've already done them on Hawaii Island, Maui. We just did one on Hana last week. We have one scheduled in Kauai. We have one in Nanakuli in September. And so we're trying to find areas around the state that would be interested in hosting a community workshop. So if you know of anybody that might be willing to help us host one, it's important that we're doing this with community collaboration. We don't want to just say, oh, or, you know, have somebody call and say, here's a venue, you know, you may be able to do this. It's really about building that community network so that the community is there to support those youth when they return. The workshop itself talks about effective prevention strategies and building that empowerment for the community and the youth. And next slide. And so these are QR codes to different things. One is our website, which talks about the entire strategy. You'll see on the website, there's specifically a page that is for work groups. And as those work groups are formed after the summit, you'll be able to click on your area of the island to find out what your work group is currently working on. Like if they're having a community cleanup day, that'll be listed there. Or if there's a meeting coming up that you could attend. The middle QR code is to request a workshop if you think that there might be an area in your community that might be willing to host one. And then the last one, if you could follow us on Instagram, this is Hawaii Youth Prevention. As the youth come into this, it's going to be posting all the great activities that they're a part of. It talks about the different events that we're hosting and just sharing positive information about what's going on in the community. So I can take questions, or if you want to just move it along, I can.
Jenny, I wanted to ask if you're working with the schools with this program.
Yes, we're working in collaboration with the schools, more at like for Department of Education, for the public schools, we're working with Department of Education, Student Health Services, and HighAware too, which is also under Student Support Services. And so they are going to be sending out the blast to all of the principals. So we're not sending this out and asking students to register. We're specifically asking for principals to do the registration because we want them to choose 5 leaders within different areas of their school. So yes, we are working with schools.
Okay, now that is specifically for the conference that you're going to be hosting. Yes. But I'm wondering for, you mentioned that communities could request workshops.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that if the school requests it, I think that the community would, you know, want to participate in something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something we could take a look at. We've been focusing on the youth a lot at the schools because we're trying to draw in community members that don't necessarily know that they're a part of prevention or recognizing that they work with youth, like healthcare workers, police officers, media, you know, anybody that, like we said, has a touch point with the youth as a part of this. And so we want to draw in that community as well.
Questions for Jenny on this program? Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work and for presenting to the board. And yeah, you do a really important thing for the community and for the future of these islands. So thank you so much.
And are the health issues all drug related, or are there other issues as well that your group addresses?
So the fun thing that I enjoy about working with prevention is that prevention is prevention. And so if we're building protective factors within their community, then that addresses a multitude of issues, whether it's dating violence, whether it's a substance related issue, whether it's coping skills, mental health, all of those things all kind of stem from the same type of behavior and issues. So yes, we have a drug nexus at HIDA, but prevention itself will be able to address that within the community.
Any other comments or questions? I'm just also aware that there is, I don't know if it's an increase, but I know that we have a lot of homeless teenagers that are on the streets that need support. So I'm hoping that your organization can help address that.
We hope so too. And so I will also put on the table it's basically the last slide. It has all of the QR codes. So if you didn't catch those and you want to take one with you, you can. The last thing also to mention is that we are doing in collaboration with the University of Hawaii and their social psychology department, there is a survey that talks about where the prevention needs in your community might be. And so it's helping to figure out where the gaps are in each community so we can make sure that, you know, we're addressing the right stuff. And so this flyer that I'll also put on the table has the QR code to fill out that survey if you're interested. That would be very helpful.
Thank you very much, Jenna, for coming. By the way, I understand that Jenny volunteered for this presentation rather than who was listed because she is a member of our community. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is an announcement of our vacancies. I mentioned earlier in the meeting that we are a 15-member board. Only 12 of our 15 seats are currently filled. So we are looking for volunteers who might be willing to be appointed to join us on the board as a volunteer. Is there anybody here at tonight's meeting who would like to be considered for an at-large seat for the remainder of this year? Nobody? All right, I'll ask again next month, but I appreciate all of our current members who are willing volunteers. So thank you, board members. We're going to be moving on with our officials' reports, starting with Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Amy Asselby, but I do need to mention that Amy is no longer our current mayor's representative because the office of it's economic revitalization has been dismantled by the city council. And so I don't know if Amy is still going to be employed at the city in another capacity, but the city will assign another representative for us at the next meeting. However, the city did send a written report. And if you'll hold on 1 second, I do have it on my phone. All right, the report highlighted some of the things from the mayor's newsletter, one that had to do with the new driver's license and state IDs, another on the appointment of David Lazar, who was officially sworn in as the Honolulu Police Department chief, that the city was lowering the city was lowering the school zone speed limits to 20 miles per hour. And so everybody please note that. And that the city received a national award for greener city parks. Also, there is a Youth Climate Action Fund application window that is open, currently open. So they are looking for applications for the Youth Climate Action Fund, which supports Oahu youth with up to $4,999 to design and implement a climate project. And I did send this information to Kaiser High School, and hopefully they will be submitting a project for that funding. Now, also, there were some issues that we wanted follow up on, and their report to us is that, first of all, there is no regular update on the Cocoa Crater stables. The city is in discussion with the concessionaire and their attorney. We also wanted an update on the maintenance of the statues at Hanauma Bay. And I understand that Lisa Bishop has contacted the city and will be following up with that particular department, MOCA, with their director for a meeting to set up, I guess, a regular maintenance schedule. We also wanted the bathroom and parks to be maintained, particularly the one at Hawaiʻi Park next to this school. And the department's response was that the staff cleans the comfort station on a daily basis. And the sink in the restroom was found to be in good working condition. And the graffiti has been painted over. And the restroom has been thoroughly cleaned. They also mentioned that the staff inspected Vavamalu, but did not find any human feces, and any rubbish is removed when staff cleans the restrooms there. So that was in response to issues that this board had brought to the city's attention last month. So hopefully we will have a regular report and a new representative from the mayor's office. So moving on to city, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Greg?
I just think it would be nice to note in the record in our minutes that Amy Osabai was one of the most effective and thorough and polite and considerate mayor's reps that this board has had in my memory of some 25 years. So I hope she can continue, but if not, I wish her well.
Thank you, Greg, for that. I also want to echo Greg's comments. Amy was very, very responsive for the board, and I think she was in the position for longer than 2 years. So she was very, very helpful, and I will send a letter. Well, I'll send an email thanking her on behalf of all of us. Moving on to Council Chair Tommy Waters's report. Welcome, Tommy.
Hello, Chair and members. Hey, just for the record, the City Council did not dismantle the Office of Economic Recovery. We fully funded Amy's position, her deputy position, the film liaison and the film deputy, as well as 3 community folks. It was the mayor who dismantled them because we simply wanted them to be a little bit more accountable to the taxpayer, and we're holding their feet to the fire. And we wanted them to come back next year with a strategic plan. And the mayor actually decided not to fund them. And I think the mayor let her go because her position is completely funded, Anyway, having said that, I have a bit of news here. So I have a bunch of applications for the real property tax credit for homeowners application that if you make $80,000 or less, you can limit your property taxes to 3% of your income. So there's an application here, a handy booklet about how to do it, as well as a magnet that you can put on your refrigerator with a deadline of September 30th. So it's one way you can lower your property taxes if you make less than 80,000. Since I've been on the council, it was 65,000. We raised it to 80,000 just to keep up with inflation.
Is that for 2 adults?
Good question. It applies to your entire household, right? But I believe if you are on the deed, then that would apply to you. So the deadline is September 30th, so please apply. And the application is right here. You can send it in. Put the magnet on your refrigerator. It also has other important dates on here. And I just want to encourage people to take advantage of this program. You know, there's a really good discussion today about storm preparedness. And there's a lot of really good flyers there, so I just want to encourage folks who are still here to take them. But I think Paige was right that we really got to be more proactive than reactive. And both the city and state are doing a good job to be proactive, but I think we could do a little bit better, right? Our storm water systems are outdated. It wasn't contemplated that we were going to have so much construction. So the pipes that lead to the ocean are too small. But the administration's fix for this has been to charge us all a fee based on our impermeable yards, I guess. So, Chair Mayor, when you're talking about those community meetings that were held, that's what they're going to be talking about. And I think they've come to this community before and talked about that. But, you know, the cost of living so high, I did not introduce the bill because it would have charged everyone $15 or $20 more per month to upgrade the system. They wanted to create a utility, the money would go into the utility, and then utility would pay for these upgrades. When I was able to identify $200 million in cost savings over the last year, that money wasn't spent, whether it's vacancy savings where positions weren't filled or current expenses that weren't spent. I'm saying, hey, use that money. By the way, there's two bills that we passed. Well, one was passed out of budget today and one was canceled, Bill 33 and Bill 34, which would set aside money for parks. And of course, I support our parks, right? They do need help. But that department lapsed about $13 million. So what I'm suggesting is we take that money, and Bill 33, this would be money that you get from camping permit fees and other fees like that, that would go into a special fund for park maintenance that would be outside of the general fund. And on its surface, that seems like not a bad idea, right? Bill 44 would take a portion of the TAT, transient accommodation tax, that you pay when you have a hotel room. And that would go into a park special fund for maintenance as well, a portion of that. And then a portion of that would also go into the Department of Enterprise Services for the zoo. I'm thinking we should put that into what we just talked about, being proactive for storms, right? That's money that really should, I mean, if we're prioritizing that based on this 3 storms that are hitting us, we should really be putting money away to upgrade our infrastructure. But would love to have your folks' input, not only tonight, but if you have an opinion on this, come and testify at the city council. It's super easy. You can do it on your phone, honolulucitycouncil.org. And if I see your name and I'm running the meeting, I'll call you up first. Because your voice is important and I'd love to hear from you folks. But we really, again, should be more proactive on cleaning our streams, culverts, and ditches, and clearing the brush, as the Port Lock Association pointed out. And I'll continue to be the squeaky wheel because I've been bugging parks for years now. It's super frustrating for me. And I think at some point we got to raise it up to the level of the mayor. I'm not sure the mayor knows about this, right? Because it's just at parks. So if you folks are open to it, let's do a press conference and bring some attention to this and say, hey, we need this done and we need it done today. Because I'm really afraid, right, about wildfire. You know, I remember growing up, going body surfing at Sandy's and driving. And remember the wildfire by the golf course? That used to happen all the time, right? So it's real. It happens. I wasn't going to bring up the election, but since she did, just real quick. So there was a Supreme Court hearing today and everybody was represented. There are lawyers all over the place. But everything's on the table. Every possibility. It could be a rerun of all 4 candidates. It could be a rerun of just the top 3 candidates. It could be a rerun of the top 2 candidates. It could be that I'm continue to be disqualified and Tara and Ozawa go on to the general. I've come to terms with all of it, right? I was shocked when I heard that I was disqualified because in my mind, it really wasn't clear. That's why I made an announcement over a year ago that, hey, this is what I intend to do, hoping that we would resolve it prior to the ballots being printed and mailed. That didn't happen. So we'll get a definitive answer by Friday. If I am disqualified, I just want to say I really enjoyed representing this community, and I'm still here until January. And if you need help with anything, please feel free to reach out. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much, Tommy. We've appreciated your visits here at our meetings. Are there comments or questions for the council chair? Sam?
Yeah, thank you for your continued presence at the meetings. Hope you come if regardless after January. I did want to kind of piggyback on Paige's point, not just on the HECO side. I think that's been made very clear, but I think every time we have one of these significant power outages and the lack of cell service and data and lack of information that people are able to get, the general populace, maybe you go by this radio and have the AM, FM, but people need cell service to communicate with their loved ones to get access to what's going on. What can we do? What is being done at the city level to try and implement some sort of resiliency when it comes to maintaining cell service in these storms?
We had this conversation last month, and I agree with you that something needs to be done, but it's a private company. I'm going to talk to our committee on resiliency, see if we can bring in HECO and ask them those questions. Jason Leong had an interesting idea of the city and county taking over the power plant. I'm open to that. I'm not sure how much that would cost, right? To do all those upgrades, it really is going to cost money. If the community wants to spend the money from your taxpayer money to help out the private company, I'm open to that. Not sure that's a good idea, but really it's got to be something that we should discuss. Do we want to use your property taxes to pay for this that the utility should be paying for?
I just mean strictly with the phone companies and their ability to stay powered on in the event of a storm, mandating that if they're providing cell service on Oahu, that they have backup generators for a certain amount of time. Because I can see a little bit more financial incentive for HECO to maintain the grid, because once the power is back on, our meters start spinning, they start making money. I'm still paying the same monthly bill regardless of whether I have data or not for 48 hours. So they don't have that much of a financial incentive, but if there are laws in place to sort of mandate a base level of coverage in these types of events, I think that's specifically what I'm talking to, regardless of HECO.
Sure. Let me look into that, Sam, to see if we even have jurisdiction at the city level to do that. I'm not sure we do, but certainly I'd be happy to ask our research team to look into that. And then if we do have one, are you going to come testify? Sure. All right. Okay, deal. Thank you.
I think we did bring up that issue that when the mobile carriers want to put up poles, transmission poles, that they have some kind of a backup so that they're not reliant on HECO's grid during emergencies. And I think the last presenter that we had here from Verizon, we asked about that, and he did say that they do have generators now for each of their transmission stations. And so it might be something that we want to require that, these mobile carriers provide so that they're not reliant on the grid, which we know can be very iffy.
Yeah. No, I remember when our electricity would go out, but you'd still have phone service on your landline.
Just the landline. Yeah.
Just the landline. Yeah.
But not everybody has landlines anymore.
Right.
So other comments or questions? Lisa, online. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tommy, for coming this evening. We always appreciate your attending our neighborhood board meeting. I will defer to Jennifer Taylor, but I certainly think it's long past time to apprise Mayor Bongiardi about this whole issue about the fire issues in our community, and especially with Rep. Gideon's opportunity to bring the state's transportation director to the talk story on Thursday. I would ask if you might consider perhaps not a press conference and, blindsiding the mayor, but perhaps having an opportunity to discuss the issue with him and perhaps broach the approach that maybe the city and the state can work together to find a solution for this particular community. But however you all want to discuss it, but I think it's more than past time for the mayor to be apprised of this delay in at least having a solid conversation about the solution for our community. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other comments or questions. Thank you very much, Tommy.
Okay, thank you,
And,
Chair. Thank you, board members. If you don't mind, I'm gonna, it's been a long day. Take the rest of the meeting online and I'll be available for questions.
All right, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Moving on, Governor Josh Green's representative, Cameron Black.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, board members, community members. Nice to be back. Sorry for not being here the last 2 months, but lots to catch up on. I did read the minutes from the last 2 meetings and want to commend the board for its forethought in bringing up some of these power and communication issues before Lala even hit and impacted us. And regarding the backup generation, I thought that idea about digging into what the cell carriers are required to have was worth more digging into and looking into what can be required. And I would perhaps propose that we extend that discussion beyond the cell carriers and look at other critical infrastructure within the area to talk about what kind of backup generation is available at our shopping centers. You may have tenants that are run on grouped meters, but the shopping center managers may have some say. There's medical facilities in there. There's obviously groceries. There's a lot of critical facilities in our communities that do depend a lot on electricity and power. And this concept of making sure you have your own backup generation is certainly something that's come very much to light in what's happened lately, not only from a business and municipal standpoint, but also from a residential one. And for those who do have batteries and solar, that's great. For those of us that do have gas generators and for the businesses that do have gas or diesel generators, Hawaiʻi did put out information on generator safety. I myself have a gasoline generator that I had to run for almost 3 days, and going out and filling it and where to locating it is something that's a consideration for a lot of us in the businesses, and making sure that the generators are maintained properly and they're ready to go in the time of need, and that there are fuel arrangements made in advance to ensure that that fuel can be provided as needed to refill. So it's definitely a huge conversation that we'll continue to have for quite a while. Along the lines, while we're sticking on Lala and storm assistance, I did want to also point out that Hawaiʻi, and I put flyers here, and Chair, we can make them available for those that were looking for housing assistance that were impacted by the storm. Maybe not so much in our area, fortunately, but maybe so. So just wanted to make sure that these resources are made available if possible, and I can provide these after. Along the discussion, also noticed from regarding go back to power, regarding the minutes from the last board member, I think you raised it, Board Member Wolf, about regulating, and Chair Waters, who just left, said the PUC is a proper regulatory body, and that's true. Right now, Hawaiian Electric is in the process of procuring new sources of generation on Oahu. That's an open RFP process that they have going on. They're going to host a technical conference on this process in case you're interested in learning more on Monday, the 31st. It is available via Teams to the public at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11, if you're curious to learn more about Hawaiian Electric's process to bring on more generation, because we don't have much generation, as you folks know over here. Individual facilities and houses might, but looking at our common shared facilities, we really don't. Kudos to our wastewater treatment facility hidden behind Sandy's that does have PV and batteries. I don't know if that's capable of its powering its own, but that's a great example of a facility trying to provide its own power when needed. So, just it's great that this conversation is happening, because those of us who work in energy more frequently and regularly, this is a top of mind always, about making sure that we have a steady flow, not only during regular times, but in times when there's mass interruptions. So I'm glad this conversation is happening. Unfortunately, the circumstances are what they are. I didn't really have too much else to report tonight, but do have quite a bit of notes to take back. We'll be certainly following along on what's happening with the fire risk management up above Portlock and the rest of the community. As you pointed out, Greg, is this constant thing that we'll be thinking about and dealing with. So, the state does have a role on state lands through DLNR, but I don't want to speak for them on what they're capable of contributing at this time. But this will go in our report as well. But that's about it, unless there are questions for me right now, or any other issues that I may have missed over the last 2 months that you'd like us to take back.
All right, Greg, and then Sam.
All right, just a little more on that abandoned car that's on the property at Hawaiʻi State Scenic Shoreline. It is likely totally abandoned. I doubt if the owner is going to be responsible for anything of it. It was a total loss, and over the months that it's been sitting there, it's become just nothing but a wrecked car. So anyway, maybe you could take the lead, because it is an interagency sort of thing that needs attention. It'll involve transportation to temporarily, remove the guardrails just to get it out. It involves Department of Land and Natural Resources and State Parks Division. Before the Hawaiʻi State Scenic Shoreline was even established, or maybe right at the start of it, there were at least 20 abandoned vehicles on that property at that time. They all got cleared out somehow. So there is a way to do it. It's just that no one is paying attention, and evidently departments aren't talking to each other or taking the responsibility to work together in order to get it done. So that's all it would take.
Yeah, that'll certainly be on the report. And I was stoked to hear what Rep. Gideon came up and said, that you have an actual opportunity to talk to the director and DTS himself on Thursday in a few nights. But it'll certainly go on our
It
our report.
probably is more of a state park concern, because it is within the Hawaiʻi State Scenic Shoreline, but it needs the cooperation and support of transportation as well.
It'll go in there. Thanks, Greg.
Go ahead.
Good to have you back, and thanks for your advocacy on all these issues. Getting away from the storms, our condo complex is at a constant war with pigeons. They seem to love our property, and they love to express their waste all over the property. So what we do is we have pigeon spikes, but we've not only run into issues with our window cleaners because of these pigeon spikes, but we've had them quit because of the excessive amount of fecal matter from these pigeons. I know it is a Department of Health law that you're not allowed to feed pigeons on your property. There is a particular woman in Hahaione Valley on Hahaione Street that I've called vector control multiple times over, left messages with them. We have heard nothing. The issue is we have people that feed pigeons in unlimited quantities to grow the populations in excess. And our condo complex experiences the worst side effects of this. So is there something, can we get an answer next month as to, I can talk with you offline about this particular individual, but we just need somebody to stop dumping 5-gallon buckets of pigeon feed in their driveway twice a day and letting all those birds, excreted on our property. So we can have our windows washed again. Thank you.
Yeah, that's certainly not my area of expertise, but we can talk, and maybe it is DOH if there's a vector control unit or something like that could come out and try and deter this kind of activity. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments for Cameron? Thank you very much. And we did miss you the last 2 months. I know you were busy, but it's nice to have you back.
Yeah, this was a great discussion. As always, it's great to get back into the swing of things and get caught up on a lot of stuff that's happening. So thanks.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody from Senator Stanley Chang's office or Senator Chris Lee's office? I don't see anybody online. So we can move ahead to Representative Joe Gideon. Is there anybody from Representative Mark Hasham's office online? I don't see anybody either. Okay. All right. Hello, Joe.
Aloha, Chair Mayor, and aloha, Neighborhood Board. It's great to see everybody. Apologize that I was not here last month. I was celebrating my first wedding anniversary with my wife. I would like to stay married, so I had to be there. But it's great to be back with everybody. As you can imagine, this past weekend was very busy. As soon as we had the blackouts, I had a lot of people reaching out to me. Those who had internet or cell data were reaching out to me. So I want to commend, I got to commend Hawaiian Electric, at least their government liaison team. They are very engaging. I was getting updates from them every couple of hours, which I would then share with the district through our email blast, through social media, Instagram, Nextdoor, et cetera. So they're doing a great job. I understand there are some major infrastructure issues that need to be addressed. As you know, we had Hawaiian Electric at my talk story in June. They acknowledged the reliability problems, explaining dealing with aging infrastructure alongside a grid now handling more rooftop solar, battery storage, et cetera. They also shared some of the upgrades that they were doing on the substations, but the big thing are the transmission cables coming over the ko'olau. I did relay a question from a constituent asking, can we bury the lines or something? And they said that's a large undertaking. Perhaps they can do some kind of covering for the cables so that every time a branch doesn't fall, it doesn't take them out. But nothing concrete. So to help gather data from the constituents, I launched a survey and blasted out to the entire district, posted on social media. If you go to repgideon.com, scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Hawaii Kai Power Reliability Survey. It's been 24 hours and we've got about 425 responses so far. It's 18 questions, multiple choice, really easy. And the very last question is paragraph form. And I've got over 200 responses, long essays. So I'm looking forward to gathering that data. I'll share a snapshot at the end of the week with the neighborhood board. And in the end of the following week, I'm going to put together a report and coordinate with some of our other elected officials and hopefully get a sit down or some type of engagement with HECO leadership, because I think we all agree it's long overdue that we at least get a long-term goal in sight, because right now there is no solid answer for it. So that's the purpose of me doing this survey, and I've let Hawaiian Electric know that we're doing it as well. Our July talk story, I think, was very timely. The topic was emergency preparedness with a focus on hurricane preparedness. We had the Department of Emergency Management, Molly Pierce, come back. This is the second time we had her. We had Matt Glei from Hawaii Kai Strong. As you know, I think it started back in 2010. It did kind of die out around COVID, and I had the opportunity to reconnect with Matt. My initial hope was just to get some type of working group started, but when I had my first meeting with him, he brings out a binder of everything that Hawaii Kai Strong had done for the past 10 years, and I was just blown away. It needs some updating, and that's something we're working on. Hawaiian Electric has agreed to be part of the discussion and part of the working group, as well as Molly Pierce from Department of Emergency Management. I would love to get some engagement from the neighborhood board on this as well. But once we get the document updated, we'll be posting it on my website and whatever other avenues Matt is going to be posting it on. Let's see. On the topic of my Let's Talk Stories, like I mentioned earlier, this Thursday at the Oahu Club from 6 p.m. to 7:30, we're hosting Director Ed Sniffen from the Department of Transportation and a representative from DTS to talk about current and incoming projects in Hawaii Kai, talk about some of our other long-term issues such as aging infrastructure, dangerous intersections, which we spoke about tonight, as well as speeding. And so, judging from tonight's discussion, I'm thinking it's going to be an eventful one this coming Thursday. So tune in. It'll be posted on pay-per-view. No, I'm just kidding. But it's going to be a great discussion. For those of you that haven't been to one of our talk stories, we do them every month. And I'll just name some of the departments that we've had come in and talk. We've had Hawaiian Electric so far twice. Actually 3 if you count the town hall they did here back in July, where they brought in the actual cables, examples of the cables that are buried underground. No conduit on them. As they fail, they are digging them up, replacing them with ones that are covered. We had Department of Agriculture, Farm Bureau, members of Kanekoa Farms to come in and talk about food sustainability. We've had Lisa Bishop and can't remember. She works with Elizabeth Riley with her organization to talk, and Tom Cooper from HARD to talk about preserving the heart of Hawaii Kai. We've had HPD, IHS, the governor's director on homelessness, as well as River of Life Mission to come and talk about homelessness. But the topics that I do for these talk stories are really driven on feedback that I'm getting from the community. So my goal is I get the feedback, bring the experts to Hawaii Kai to really engage with us and talk and educate. And it's also a good opportunity for me to build a relationship with them so that when it comes time for action, I've got that direct line of communication. But I would encourage everybody to show up to these talk stories. Lastly, while we're on the topic of, I mentioned speeding, we've launched the Drive Aloha campaign that I had mentioned 2 months ago. I've got signage up at some of the busy intersections just past Kaiser High School. Exits are the intersections on Kamakani, on both sides of Kamakani on Lunalila Home Road. Got a small sign on Portlock Road, the entrance to Portlock, just across from Cokehead Elementary School. And I'm going to be getting a sign up on Poipu Drive. So we get a lot of complaints of speeding over there. It's not the magic bullet that's going to fix everything, but it's something that I can do fast. I don't need to navigate through a lot of different red tape to get these things done, which at times can be frustrating. We spoke about the abandoned vehicle on Kalanianole, just around that bend. A year ago, as many of you know, there was a car that went off the road, broke the railing, and was there. DOT came in, they removed that car, left the abandoned vehicle, which is maybe 40, 50 feet away, and fixed the railing, left the abandoned vehicle, which kind of blows my mind why they didn't just take it out at the same time. So that's something I'll bring up to Director Sniffen. And Greg, like you mentioned, there's other agencies that do need to be involved in it. But let's see. I believe that is the end of my report. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
Questions for Representative? Yes, Paula.
Joe, thank you for your prompt response to my email regarding the HECO announcement. He had told us, he put out a blast that said we might not get power back until Tuesday. And I was fortunate enough, we got our power back Monday, like after 22 or 23 hours. But yeah, it's really nice that you can connect so quickly and get this information out to us. So I appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Absolutely. My goal is to have my office be a communication hub for us in Hawaiʻi. So any information I get, I try and distribute it as effectively as possible without jumping the gun on some things. I know there were some people in Portlock, I think they didn't have power until Wednesday and maybe even later, as well as I know Spinnaker Isle, Quapa Isle, other areas of Ha'ione were affected longer. We brought up the cell towers. Some updates I got during the storms, which were very helpful from Hawaiian Electric. The T-Mobile towers do have mobile generators that they hook up during the storm, so they sent me pictures of that. AT&T, one of their main transmission lines was severely damaged from the storm, and they were saying it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks to repair and restore that. So if you got AT&T, and you've got service, I'm not sure how, but they were saying 3 to 4 weeks. Verizon, I didn't hear back from Verizon, but I'd love to connect with their rep as well.
Go ahead, Sam.
Thanks for being here. Happy anniversary. Well, the Mauna Loa, everybody there did not have any cell service, regardless of their carrier. And so for me, I have T-Mobile. It did not come back until a little bit before the power came on at like 10 at night. So after 22 hours or so. So I'm not sure how or which generators or which, their stations have generators, but for us in the building, nobody had any cell service.
Yeah, the one that they sent me the picture of was up Hanauma Bay.
Okay.
That trail up there.
Okay.
I didn't have data, so I've got T-Mobile as well. I didn't have data. I was able to make calls, but I couldn't browse the internet, and I couldn't. My text messages weren't going through. And when we've got a blackout, I mean, you're not going to have internet, and when you don't have your data service on your phone, you're really kind of cut off.
Yep.
And with me, I was able to make calls, but if you weren't able to make a call, like you're really kind of cut off.
Yeah.
So
do you know if 911 works? I didn't want.
That's a good question. You know what? I'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find out if it was working during that period.
Just another point, if you're not currently following Rep. Gideon on Instagram, you should, because you get to learn all things Hawaii Kai, and I think all government officials should take a page out of your playbook for how to engage with the community and have a great presence and keep us all informed. So I really commend you for the hard work and consistently that you're doing on there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I will.
All right. Thank you very much, Representative Gideon, for joining us tonight. And we appreciate your attendance at our meetings.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to board business. And first on the agenda is an issue to request the Department of Parks and Recreation to provide adequate shelter from severe weather events for the staff on duty at the entrances to Hanauma Bay and Cocoa Crater Botanical Gardens. And Greg will introduce the topic, and he has a motion that he would like the board to consider.
Okay, yeah, you pretty much introduced it with the title. And it is something I noticed, especially with the storms approaching, but I've been aware of it for some time, that the guards that are on duty at the Botanical Garden and at Hanauma Bay, they have no shelter. I did send board members an email today that had a picture of what was there right before Lala, and I'm sorry I didn't send it. I won't mention names, but 3 board members do not have any way to contact them, so I did not send it to all. And I would encourage them to go to the neighborhood commission and put some contact information. We're public elected officials, and we should be reachable by the public. So I hope that everyone has that, and you can also fill out your bio information as well. So if you did receive the email, and if you did look, there's a little picture of this very skimpy thing. And when I first noticed it, the guard was on duty, and it was leaning almost 45-degree angle. And of course, it provided no protection or shelter at all. So this doesn't need a lot of elaboration. So I would just like to place this motion on the table. The Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board, noting that security guards at the entrance to Hanauma Bay and Cocoa Crater Botanical Garden are on duty without protection from severe weather conditions, requests that the Honolulu Department of Parks and Recreation construct adequate guard shacks or weatherproof shelters for these security personnel. That's the motion, kind of long, but kind of explains it without a whole resolution.
All right, is there a
Second.
second to Greg's motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Paula. All
And-
right.
And I
Any-
did hear from Lisa that the Friends of Hanauma Bay have put in such a request too, and working with Parks and Recreation to try and get that done. So I would like to add our weight to that and feel that it is long overdue. And Hanauma Bay, as you know, charges an arm and a leg to get into non-residents, so they have plenty of money. They could accommodate it, and the city should find it for the botanical garden as well.
Okay, Johanna?
Hi, I did receive the email, but I was coming from work, so I wasn't able to read all of it. But are you saying that what kind of conditions are the workers at Hanauma Bay, are you concerned about? Like, I'm thinking like thunderstorms, but are you thinking like heat, like the sun?
All of it. That's why I just say weather conditions without protection from severe weather conditions. They could build a little bus stop kind of shelter. That's kind of what I have in mind, but it could be more elaborate. It could be a guard shack of some kind. And that we should leave up to Parks and Rec to make the real determination. But I believe they should take that seriously and get something done.
All right, Sam, and then Lisa?
Yeah, I do agree with Greg. I think these are, especially Hanauma Bay, this is one of the best tourist spots that we have on this island. And I think, a lot of visitors come. I think it's extremely embarrassing for us as an island to have that be the first thing that people see is this poor person sitting on a lounge chair with a dinky umbrella. I think they deserve better than that for the work that they do, and it represents us poorly. So I support the motion.
Lisa, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Friends of Hanauma Bay have discussed this with management for at least the last couple of years, and they have trialed several different alternatives. And that blue and white plastic chair, Greg, that has been provided by the security company, not by the Hanauma Bay management, but that's beside the point. The only thing I would recommend in your suggestion is that instead of construct, that it should be changed to provide, so that DPR has a wider option as to what they should be doing as far as providing shelter for their security guards, because that also would broaden their ability to provide something much quicker. When you say construct, you're probably talking CIP, which extends the time range. So if you say provide, it's going to be allowing them to provide something a lot faster than if you say construct only. That's my recommendation.
I'm good with that. If Paula then also seconding is good with it.
Okay, so if the
I second.
maker of the motion and second are okay with that friendly amendment, we would change the word construct to provide. Any other discussion on this motion? Are you ready for the question? Is there any objection to approving this motion? No objection? All right, then general consensus, the motion is passed. I will develop a letter to the Department of Parks and Recreation indicating our request for some kind of shelter for their entry guards. Okay, moving on to item number 2, update on the EVCO Scenic Byway. I do not have any updates. However, it's hopeful that the state will address the issue of the abandoned vehicle in the ravine off Kalana-Anole Highway. And is there any update on Camilo Nui Valley agriculture? I have none. No updates. The update on Cocoa Crater Stables was addressed during the mayor's representative's report that the city is in discussion with the concessionaire and their attorney, and hopefully are addressing the issues at the Cocoa Crater Stables. Board committees. Reports from board committees. We did have a board meeting on August 11th, but both of our committee chairs are not here tonight. So I am going to briefly comment, and then other board members who were in attendance, Lisa and Greg, might add to my comments. The committee did look at or did discuss the issue of naming, coming up with a name for Vavamalu Beach. There was some discussion that Vavamalu Beach historically should be a Vavamalu. That comment came up. Also, discussion of whether the area should be designated as a nature park to highlight the need to preserve that area rather than just calling it a beach park. So there was a discussion of designating it a nature park. The committee intends to meet again and before bringing this back to the board. But so far, that is what was discussed. Does Lisa or Greg or even Reese Liggett in the audience, if anybody has anything to add to that?
Just quickly, it would be Aba Malu. Just putting an before Baba Malu. And I checked a condensed version of place names of Hawaii, and it does not make an earlier reference to Avamalu. So the more current and almost universal usage is still Avamalu.
Okay, that is just a brief report on what was discussed at that committee meeting, and that will be brought back. Moving on to approval of regular meeting minutes. Minutes from the meeting on Tuesday, July 28th has been distributed.
I have a correction.
Okay.
Page 2, under questions, comments, and concerns followed. Number 1, recurring water main breaks near Kuli'o'o. On the second line, we have Kuli'o'o toward Camilo Nui Valley, and actually just take out the word Camilo because it's toward Niu Valley, not Nui Valley.
Got you.
Niu Valley.
New Valley.
Yes.
All right. Is there any objection to just taking out Camilo in front of Niu Valley, changing Nui to Niu?
Right.
And IU. All right. Any other revisions or corrections? Is there any objection to approving the minutes for July 28th with that one correction of taking out Camilo Nui and just changing it to Niu Valley? Seeing no objection, the minutes are approved. Other board announcements? I do have an announcement. I just wanted to let everyone know that a letter did go to the city council from this board supporting their city council resolutions opposed to harvesting reef fish for commercial aquarium purposes. I also want to let the board know that I resubmitted that same letter to the Board of Land and Natural Resources for their meeting that is coming up on August 28th, because they are considering regulations to reinstate permits for aquarium commercial purposes. So I submitted that letter in opposition to that action. If there are no other announcements, I'm going into the closing announcement. The next regular meeting of the Hawaiʻi Neighborhood Board is on Tuesday, September 29th at 7 o'clock at Hawaiʻi Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx. And our neighborhood board regular meetings may be seen on the olelo.org, OleloNet website, or on the honolulu.gov NCO, that's the Neighborhood Commission Office website. The meetings are cablecast on channel 49 on the second Monday of the following month and at 9 o'clock p.m. And it repeats on that month's third Friday at 7 a.m. So you can catch us on television twice a month if you want to see the meeting or review anything. Otherwise, you can see the recorded version on the websites. I want to thank all of you who stayed with us until this time of the evening. Thank you so much, volunteers. We'll see you at the next meeting. Meeting is adjourned.